Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew-Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew-Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew-Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew-Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew-Built Conicals. You can trust Brew-Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew-Built at morebeer.com.
Today's Sunday session is brought to you thanks to the fine folks at More Beer. Visit them right now at morebeer.com.
If you really want to be one of the best brewers there is,
I stopped dressing all in plastic.
You better be brewing 5 to 6 times a week.
Every beer is made with love, and it begs to be appreciated.
I need something to kill the salmonella I'm kind of worried about in the eggs.
Do you find that that the hops kind of clash with the chicken embryo you put in there?
I might sleep here tonight.
It's a California king. There's plenty of room for both of us, Beavis.
How many of the brewers over there have seen your ass?
That's it. Someone's getting cut tonight.
All I have to say is, hey, McDowell, how you doing?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. JP's the gentleman.
Hi.
He's the one gentleman.
Thank you.
Welcome to the program. Another great show. Got here from live from the Hop Grenade Tap Room and Bottle Shop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Enunciation and everything.
It's the full name of the place.
I like it.
We're here every week. Brought to you by our good friends over at More Beer. That's right. You can go to More Beer right now. Go to morebeer.com and do all your homebrew shopping. They bring you this session and every session that we do. And we thank them for doing so.
Did you say JP was the gentleman?
Yeah, I gave it to him this week.
What does that make the rest of us?
You know, other things.
Yeah.
Lesser than gentlemen.
Gentlemen?
No, that's not where I was going with it. But I guess you can take it that way. Yeah.
Make sure you give us beer.
That's right. What do you have in your glass, Tasty?
Well, I got this really nice dark hoppy beer called Russian River Janet's Brown Ale.
Oh, beautiful. Gosh, we just keep getting more kegs of that, huh? I love it. Wow.
You're going to be pouring more here than they're pouring at the pub.
That's fantastic.
Like, what the hell?
People like it here.
Keep it coming. I don't care.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, it's fun pouring Russian River here at the Hop Grenade. People like it. The locals are happy. We're happy. So
it's almost like getting out of town beer, you know. Not everybody can get it.
It is, yeah. We got some bottles now too. I think we had Damnation on the shelf the other day.
That's sweet.
I don't know if we've gotten like Blind Pig bottles or anything yet, but yeah, of course, that's what we want, is some sours. We got to ease into it, I guess. I can't go demanding yet.
Don't believe me.
We just got the damn account.
I think things are all going to fall in place.
Yeah.
Back in February, I went to Monument Liquor to get whatever, and they do Damnation on their shelf too. There was an empty spot next to the Damnation, and there was a sign that said Pliny the Younger sold out.
Yeah.
And I went, what the? They're not bottling it, are they? And he's like, no, we just put that there and leave an empty track.
It's almost like an homage to the, we should do that, too. We should have done it before we even had the account. Everything from Russian River sold out.
Mm-hmm. Coming soon.
When's it going to be back? I don't know. Whenever they open our account.
Tapping soon.
Yeah, we got it on tap, though, now. It's good stuff. Had a great weekend. Tasty and Nate Smith and Nicole and I all went to the Bluebonnet Brew-Off in Texas. And speaking of Vinny and Russian River, he was supposed to be there. The rumor was he was supposed to be their speaker this year. Apparently,
they offered it to him.
He's their speaker next year. And so somehow I was second on the list. Although they didn't really clarify. I easily could have been 8th, I suppose. I mean, they didn't really say.
Yeah, everybody could have had not enough laundry to make it.
I mean, they know that nobody would be offended by being second to Vinny. But had they said we also asked 8 other people, then maybe I would have.
Yeah.
Who am I kidding?
Let's assume you were second.
I still totally would have done it.
Hey, 9th isn't so bad.
Thank you, Beardy. Yeah, so I look at things. So we had a good time.
Oh, my God, yes.
Those Bluebonnet people. So Vinny actually, let me play this for you before I get too far ahead of myself. Vinny left a message for the people of the Bluebonnet. I was supposed to play it during my keynote speech, but I couldn't get the PA to work properly.
Oh, man.
I was lucky that my microphone worked, and I tried to get the microphone to pick it up, but that didn't happen either. So I told the folks at the Bluebonnet that I'd try to play it on the show. So this was Vinny. He left me a message after he found out that I was the keynote speaker. See if I can get it to play.
Hey, Justin, it's Vinny from Russian River.
Oh, was that it? That's all he said, really.
Gotta go.
And I was like, who?
That's really all it takes now.
That's why you let it go to voicemail.
I know the brewery. I don't know the guy.
Yeah. See, how cool am I? I let Vinny go to voicemail. Let me
Ignore.
Yeah, I hear you're the keynote for the Bluebonnet this year. You know, they asked me to speak, but we're having this big brew house project going on, and in the end, I had to back out. I hope the audience doesn't mind you being my relief pitcher and all. Really, it's more like sloppy seconds. What are you going to talk about? What do you have to offer to these homebrewers? Have you even homebrewed before?
Jerk.
Dude, you better be prepared. These homebrewers know their shit. They could have at least gotten Tasty to speak. Remember when we were all in Australia this past November for the Australian Homebrewers Conference? Tasty was the most popular guy there. Now, he would kill it in Texas. Hey, before I run, can you do me a favor? Would you let them all know that I'm really excited to be there next year and to give the keynote at the 2016 Bluebonnet? All right, man. Got to run. See you, dude. Bye.
There you go. So that's for you guys. He's excited to be there with you next year.
Was he reading off a cheat sheet?
Yeah.
He sounded rehearsed.
Well, he's very...
He takes every challenge seriously. He does. He wasn't going to just take to that half-ass.
He's the world's best voicemailer.
The Academy Award.
I'm pretty sure he sat down and wrote that for 4 hours.
He did. You could tell.
I got to get this right.
He's a first-class guy.
Well, he knew I was going to play it. He was nervous.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I like how he basically was like, I would do the thing, but I'm really busy with a job. Essentially is what it came down to.
Yeah. Whereas I'm like, I got nothing doing. I'm cool.
And they didn't ask you back. That's weird.
Well, that just happened.
Oh, okay.
I had a great time.
Oh, my gosh. Well, it was a well-ran event. Lots of fun activities.
Okay, but one thing's a little crazy about it.
The raffle?
Well, no, just the way they do all of their events kind of in one day.
Oh, my God.
All right, so
anyone it's a 4-day event in 2 days.
Yes, exactly. So everyone who's been to the national conference, you have like pro night one night, which is enough.
Yeah.
And then you got club night the next night, which is enough. All right, so here's what happened. On Friday, they go, why don't you show up around 1 o'clock? All right, when's my keynote? 6:30. Or what am I doing from 1 to 6:30? We're just going to hang out and drink beer. Okay. You realize that, I got to speak after that. Everything's fine. So I hang out and I drink beer. 6:30 comes around. I do my keynote. At 7:30, pro night starts. It's a big beer festival. There's like 50 breweries in there.
Yeah.
That goes till, 10:30 or 11. At that time, that room closes. You move to the next hall, and homebrew night starts.
Jesus.
So that goes from like 11:30 till 2 a.m.
Is it like when you pour the really good wine and then you go to the shitty wine because you can't taste it anyways? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That makes sense then.
But so pro night, club night, everything all in one day. So now I've been drinking from 1 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Jesus.
And then Pro-Am night starts at 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's a 12-hour drinking event.
Well, that was just day one. That was Friday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then Saturday, they put you on a bus for a beer tour, and you just go from beer place to beer place to beer place at noon until 6.
Wow.
Then at 7:30, the awards dinner starts, which is also a bottle share. So everyone's passing around great bottles of beer, and it's a normal award ceremony till like 11 p.m. Then you go back to somebody's suite, as you do, and drink more.
Well, some do.
Right.
The less informed.
I loved it, but boy, oh boy, all in 2 days.
That's a lot.
It's a whole NHC in 2 days.
That Friday's a piece of work for sure. Yeah.
Great timing. I had just gotten some blood test results back too, saying that my liver's not doing too great.
What?
And,
Weird. So then you celebrated.
And I was like, well,
how about a
listen,
3-day binge?
I got a job to do. I already committed.
That's right.
Yeah, I had gone in for. There's all kinds of stuff. I had to get a CT scan today on my head.
Oh, wow.
And I got in for a blood test last week.
That's not what your liver is.
Well, I can't afford very good doctors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He thought Obamacare would help.
Right, okay.
Turns out.
What happened?
So the day before I leave, I go in for this blood test, and she calls me the next day.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, so I land in Texas for the Bluebonnet. And the doctor's like, there's a message waiting for me.
Yeah.
And she's like, listen, things aren't looking too good for you. And you need to come back in for some tests. Apparently, my LDLs are through the roof.
Yeah.
And my liver enzymes are how did she put it? Elevated,
right.
So
that sounds like, isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, you have more. That's great.
I guess it means that they're working. They're doing something, the lazy fucks.
When you open a fine art museum in your town, you're elevating your community, aren't you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Well,
so she goes,
you have to never do a blood test on Monday. Never schedule it. It's always a Friday.
So.
Why? So
I'm going to be honest.
So
it doesn't really matter with me.
It does matter. Believe me, I've gone to some beer festivals and come on Monday to do it.
Oh, I see.
And my doctor gave me the elevated call, too.
Okay.
I said, let me retake it. At the end of the week, I took it, and it was fine.
Well, I might then have to retake. I took it today again, because she goes, you got to come back in.
Yeah.
Because I was coming in for the CT scan anyway, for the head thing, and then the...
what's beyond elevated?
So I took the blood, and... I went in the other day and it was like one test. It was like one vial.
Yes.
I go in today, the guy with the needles lays out 8 friggin' vials. And I'm like, what are we testing? He's like, pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Wow.
You better drink half pints tonight because you only got like a half a volume of blood.
Right.
Yeah, I got to take it easy tonight. And now we're leaving for this road trip on Wednesday, too.
It's like Jay's DD.
Yeah, I know. There's going to be another message for me tomorrow morning. Okay, so
don't drive.
Yeah, you should be available in the area in case something happens.
Maybe don't go too far away from Kaiser. Yeah.
How's your cholesterol? Did they check that?
That's what's in my LDLs.
Yeah,
through the roof apparently.
Yeah. Wow. It's like looking into a mirror of me 5 years ago.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I feel like I have another person at my party.
Well, frankly,
you came out fine. You just had cancer.
Right. Well, yeah.
By the way, frankly, I was probably this way 5 years ago too.
Yes.
I've never had a blood test before.
Right. You're always fine until someone tells you you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have gone in at all. Stupid thing.
Just write it out.
just written it out, man.
Yep.
If you can't see it, there's nothing wrong.
So I land in Dallas. This is the message I get.
What's through the roof?
And
I just want to know.
She didn't tell me. Oh no, she did. 270 something.
Please. Call me when you're at 3:30.
What? That's so high.
That's
where I'm at now.
She goes, yeah, you like it.
Oh
I was like, is that high? She goes, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think 270 something, she said.
Yeah.
My blood pressure was really good, if that helps.
Yeah, my blood pressure's fine. Mine's like 240, 230.
Okay.
Even on drugs. So it's just a genetic crap.
What kind of drugs are we talking here? Oh, you mean medication.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
okay.
Oh my. Herein lies the problem.
Nothing from Colombia.
Got it. Okay.
When we landed, we're like within an hour of being at a bar, having a good time.
Yeah, and then knowing that what the schedule looked like too. Yeah, I don't know. What are you gonna do? So we'll find out what that message is tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow. Today,
yeah,
we drink.
Yeah, today everything seems to be fine. All right, gosh, we have a lot to do. I don't want to get behind here, so maybe I'll do my announcements in just a minute. Why don't we go ahead and do our AHA candidates? We're down to the last two AHA governing committee candidate interviews today, and then I recommend if you've been waiting that you can then go vote. What the AHA is going to do is put all of our interviews up on the website tomorrow as soon as we get them, these last two, so that you could go through and listen listen to each candidate, or maybe you've been following along anyway and you already kind of know where you're at. So I just want to let you know that. But right now, we're going to get Sandy Cockerham on the phone. She's one of our candidates this year. And the HA Governing Committee, of course, represents you on the American Homebrewers Association. And we're really just there to provide feedback, and we're kind of a sounding board for the Homebrewers Association staff. We try our best to do the best we can for you. If you're not a member of the American Homebrewers Association, you can't vote, but you should be a member anyway, because they do all sorts of good things for you, and that's what we love about them. So the chance to be on the governing committee, it's been an honor for me where I've been. I'm going into my third year here, I think it is. I think sixth year, fifth year, I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't even remember.
How long is it term? Have you had to been reelected yet?
I think so. A term's 3 years, and I'm pretty sure I'm on like my fifth. So.
Oh, okay.
I think. God, I don't know. Anyhow, don't vote for me.
Are you saying you're saying that you have to be a member to vote? So would I have to show proof that I'm a member if I wanted to vote?
Yeah.
Anti-Semite.
You got to show
See how that works?
You got to show your tattoo.
This isn't like a U.S. election where you just walk in and get to vote.
Well, they don't mind the Jews there, but here they're against me.
All right, let's go to Sandy. She should be on the line now. Hi, Sandy.
Good evening.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing very well also, except that apparently I'm dying, according to my doctor. But thanks.
Other than that.
Other than that, things are going great. Thank you for being on the program.
I'm really glad you had me on here tonight.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how long you've been homebrewing?
Well, I'm a native of Indiana, so I'm what you call a Hoosier. And I've been homebrewing for over 25 years. Stopped and started a few times, like many people, due to grad school and the like. I initially started homebrewing because of my dad, because when he was a young man, he and his brother used to homebrew. So he would always tell me about going to the store and buying the blue ribbon malt and the yeast cake and doing this.
Nice.
So I have to say, I think my first batch came out better than anything they ever made.
Wow.
Nice.
You didn't have that blue ribbon malt, did you?
Well, he did give me an old can, but I never did use it.
Do you still have it?
No, I do not.
Okay.
That's really sad, though.
That would have been a fun experiment.
But I bet it would be all like bulging and ugly by now.
So you started making better beer than your dad. That's a good sign. You an all-grain brewer?
I am. I do a little bit of all of it. Sometimes just for laziness, I use specialty grains and dry malt extract. But I've brewed everything except I do want to try to brew in a bag, because that sounds kind of fun.
That does look fun.
You know, one thing that you may not know about me, I was supposed to be at NHC last year and was part of the committee, actually, and I was in a bad car wreck and wasn't able to go. And what that's made me really realize is that a real focus towards some of the brewers who may have not necessarily full-blown disabilities, but that too. But, you know, I had a bad car wreck. People throw their back out. We're all getting older, and apparently we're all going to die, according to your doctor.
That's right.
Between sports injuries and work-related injuries and all that, I'd like to see myself. I used to brew 3-gallon batches because I had the dreaded electric stove like many people started on. And let me tell you, you got some great beer stone on the bottom of the kettle from that element. But I'm going to go back to smaller batches just because after my wreck, it's harder to lift the heavy stuff. But
okay.
I'd like to see more of an outreach to help people brew smaller or to use things that help them. So that's one of the things I'm interested in is serving some different parts of the population, which sometimes is all of us.
Well, that's a great idea. In fact, there is a diversity subcommittee now on the governing committee, and it sounds like they could probably use your input because that's the kind of diversity part of it that we should be focused on, too. It's a good point you make. I know we have a listener who's nearly blind. This isn't a joke. He's nearly blind. He calls himself Blind Guy Brewer.
Right.
And he has friends come over and give him a hand, and he brews all the time, I think. So any way to help people out. I like the idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, why else would you like to be on?
Including as many people who want to brew.
Absolutely. That helps the hobby and it helps people in general. So, all right. Well, anything else you'd like to say about why you'd like to be on the governing committee this time around?
Well, I've been a member of the AHA for a long time. Went to my first GABF back in '94. Then I didn't go again for a while, but I really like the way that they work so much on great legislation that's helping everybody be able to homebrew in their state. But, we still have ways to go where some places it's really hard for people to have competitions. So that's one of my key interests, too. Okay.
Excellent. Well, we need smart people who are ready to work hard on the governing committee. So, folks, you can go over to the homebrewersassociation.org, and click membership, and you'll find Sandy's photo there, Sandy Cockerham, among the other candidates we've spoken to. You can read her bio there to learn a little bit more about her and why she'd like to be here. And also, we'll have these interviews up this week, too. So, Sandy, I do wish you luck. How long have you been an AHA member? I'm curious.
Oh, gosh. Early 90s, and I know I dropped off a couple of years. And I can go back and look at some of those old Zymerges where they're the cover's kind of in black and white.
Nice.
And they were pretty basic.
Oh, that's very cool. So you've been a member for a while. That's good. Been supporting this organization.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for having all of us on here.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you, Sandy, and I wish you luck.
Thanks. Good night.
Take care. Good night. There you go. Once again, homebrewersassociation.org, and you can check it out there. So, all right, we got our last one.
Oh, wow. Already?
And then another year of GC candidates has gone by.
Oh. Seems like only last year we were doing this.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago.
Yeah, it does. Although it doesn't look like my next candidate is there.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. Let's try. We'll just see what happens. Let's just try.
Why not? Let's just do it.
I mean, I got nothing to lose, right?
Or nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Do they hold special elections if one of the candidates, or not candidates, but one of the members dies mid-year?
Right,
I mean, I'm just thinking ahead for you.
Of liver failure?
Good question. Yeah.
Only one way to know.
By
First
chance,
of all,
liver failure?
First of all, that's bad PR for the Homebrewers Association. That's how I croak. They're not going to publish that.
Not at all.
There'll be no memorial service for me at the Homebrewers Conference.
Natural causes.
Yeah, definitely unknown causes. It's a good question, Bevo. I'll inquire about that.
You should check it out.
All right, we should have Jonathan Fuller on the line now. Jonathan, are you with us?
I sure am, yep.
Hey, thanks for being on the program. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, for sure.
Where are you from? Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I was born in Maine. Well, I was born many years ago. I was born in Maine, but I grew up in Vermont. I just moved back here to Vermont after 7 years in Northern California, in the Bay Area, in your neck of the woods.
Okay, yeah.
I just moved back here with my wife and 4-year-old son. Finally got the opportunity to come home, so kind of seized the day. And we just finished a 2.5-week trip across country in a 26-foot RV camper trailer to get here with all of our stuff in it and the truck. It was quite an epic adventure.
Yeah, through the snow and the rain and everything else.
And the rain and the ice storms, yep.
Interesting time of year you chose.
Yeah, thinking back, maybe we could have chosen a better time of year, but on the other hand, it was an adventure.
Good. I'm glad you made it safely. Tell us about your homebrewing.
Well, I've been homebrewing for, let's call it 10 years. I brewed some mead poorly more than that ago, but I started brewing beer about 10 years ago, and in the last 4 years have gotten really serious. I went all grain about 4 years ago, and largely thanks to the AHA, or perhaps the AHA is to blame. I'm not sure which way to go with that.
Sure.
But when I started hanging out on the AHA forum, I don't know if the enthusiasm of the people there or the enthusiasm of the AHA itself kind of infected me, and I got really into it and started brewing once or twice a month and going crazy and doing contests and also all that good stuff. But yeah, I brew everything, whatever.
Beautiful. Tell us why you want to be on the governing committee.
Well, I've been listening to the other candidates. I just finished listening to Sandy, and I think it's interesting because I think a lot of us are saying the same thing. The AHA, especially right now, seems like kind of a bastion of diversity in homebrewing, and I think that's great, and I think that's awesome, and I want to keep it that way, and I want to help make it even better. That's a big part of it. And then, I mean, that's really the core of my desire to be on the governing committee. Before I became a member of the AHA, I was frequenting other chat groups and other internet sites, not yours, of course, because yours is wonderful and amazing.
Thank you.
And I didn't know about it yet. So but anyway, there was some fairly unpleasantness, some fairly high level of unpleasantness on some of those other boards. And when I found the AHA, it was one of the things I really liked about it was the fact that it was a place I could hang out and not feel uncomfortable.
Nice.
Because of people being mean to everybody else.
Yeah. Definitely something you find on the internet.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the AHA has a great forum, by the way, if you don't know about it, folks, over at homebrewersassociation.org. Another reason to become a member, because it is a great place for homebrewers to share information. So, and you ran for the governing committee last year as well, right?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, and it was a fun experience. We didn't get to do an interview last year because there were like 37 of us. Or whatever.
Yeah, there was just too many. Exactly.
But yeah, and I did, and I was encouraged. Denny encouraged me, and Gary encouraged me to run again this year. So, I want to give something back to the community as a whole, as a group, and to the AHA in particular. So, I'm trying again.
Okay.
But, it's really great this year because, you look at all the candidates, and it doesn't really matter if I win. It doesn't matter if any of them win. We're all good candidates. I think we'll all be really assets to the organization.
Absolutely. You make a good point. I think that's difficult for everybody. We do all like to listen to you and read your bios there and listen to the interviews, but it is a hard choice because I think you're right when you say everyone really has the same goal, which is just to try to make the hobby better and the organization better. And
I like that. It's even if he doesn't win, everybody wins.
Everybody
because
wins.
We get somebody who's good and who's all for home brewing, and I like that attitude.
Yeah.
None of the candidates are there just to advance their own personal agenda.
Not yet. Me, I think I was when
I'm using it as a stepping stone to get onto the Brewing Association board.
Trying to impress the girls.
Yeah. Oh, boy, do the chicks love a guy on the governing committee.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't even matter what he's governing.
It works every time.
It's all about that seat at the banquet.
Yes. All right, you can go to homebrewersassociation.org and read more about Jonathan Fuller and everybody's bio there and why he's interested in being on the governing committee. And I recommend you do so. I believe that voting ends this week, so we're going to get these interviews up as quick as we can tomorrow. And please do go vote, members. Please vote. I'm sure you're going to vote, Jonathan.
I already have.
You already have. Good.
Long ago.
Okay.
Maybe I should do it again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
No, they require ID, man. They already know you voted.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, never mind then.
Well, thank you for being on the program, and I wish you luck, sir.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay. Take care, Jonathan.
All right. Bye-bye.
And there you go. That is all, I believe, 10 candidates. You can go read about them. You can listen again tomorrow up on the AHA website. And again, I can't say it enough. Please go vote if you're a member. It's super simple. It takes 5 minutes. It's much easier than all the other voting you do in your life.
Yeah.
Which I'm way too lazy to
Or don't do.
Or don't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do for someone else.
Right, yeah, or fill in someone else.
Or cheat as your... All right. It's super easy to do. So please go do so. And I want to thank all of our governing committee Canadians. I'd like to thank all the Canadians and the governing committee candidates. There's one Canadian on the list we interviewed.
Is that... I thought you had to be naturalized...
No.
What is the world coming to?
No, that's what I said to him, I think, during the interview. Why we're letting you in?
This is the American Homebrewers Association.
Well, I don't know. It's part of the diversity committee or something.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I love how Canadians are as diverse as we get.
That's our diversity. Yeah.
Baby steps.
Well,
we'll
listen,
start with Canadians.
Their policemen still ride horses, so I feel like that's our diversity. All right, I do wish all the candidates luck and thank them again for being on the program. Let me get through some just quick announcements and we'll take a break. Before we get to our guest today, RiverWalk Brewing Company is in studio with us. They came all the way out from Mass to hang out with us, Massachusetts. Newburyport, Massachusetts, to be exact. And they're going to be here in the studio sharing some beer with us, so we're going to learn about RiverWalk Brewing Company.
Yeah, we're violating our long-standing tradition of ignoring East Coast craft breweries.
That's right.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I didn't want to book them, but,
your hands were tied.
Here they are.
All right. Don't forget, we now have a official Drunk of the Week number. You can call 855-WIN-DOTW. 855-WIN-DOTW. You can leave that message anytime. Some of you have been doing so, and in some cases, we've been having fun listening to them.
Some cases.
Here's someone who discovered that it was set up, and this is the message he felt.
First off, that's a really dumb automated message. Secondly, thank you for setting this lineup. Have a good day.
I mean, thanks for the message, but that is not a qualifier for DOTW.
Hey, he got played.
Well,
that was his preface to his Drunk of the Week call that he's working on.
That was the test call.
That's the lead up.
Now he knows he's going to.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's tried before, but we never answered his phone call or whatever.
So just making sure,
right?
Yeah, because frankly, we could just be screwing with you. It is there, 855-WIN-DOTW. Also, if you haven't heard, our BNA 10, our 10th anniversary location, we're sharing our party with White Labs and their 20th anniversary. So it's our 1020 party. It'll be Wednesday, June 10th at Broadway Pier in San Diego. That's right before the National Homebrewers Conference. And tickets will be going on sale probably, I want to say next month. I want to say April. And we'll do a VIP hour like we always do. So what you want to do is make sure you're on our newsletter. You are part of our newsletter by being a recurring donor in the BN Army. And that goes out every month, and that's where we send information first, especially for VIP tickets. That actually goes out to the mailing list first. They get special access before we ever put the rest of the tickets on sale. So you're going to want to sign up as a donor here by hitting the donate button on our homepage. You can also then just pay attention to our Facebook and things like that. Or you can go over to bna10.com for updates. So stay tuned, and tickets will be on sale soon. We are headed to Rogue this week.
Yes.
Doing a little road trip up to Rogue. We're having a meet and greet party at the Rogue Pub in Newport, Oregon on March 27th.
So clock out from your crab boats early and come down.
Start swimming to shore.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be great.
Oh, I can't
Does
wait.
anybody live up there?
Yeah. I think we have
crabs.
John and Stacey.
2 listeners, John and Stacey, and a bunch of crabbers.
Right.
So we're going to wear...
it's going to be so amazing.
I'm going to wear galoshes.
Like full-on waiters and shit.
It's the Newport uniform.
Dressed like the Gordon Fisherman.
Yeah.
You should definitely check the weather forecast before you do that. You dumbass.
Yeah.
You guys want to guess the population of Newport?
7.
17.
No, I think it's like 800 people. That's my
1,000
guess.
barrels a year?
Your real guess is 800?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 10,000. That's a tiny city.
Okay, great.
Is 800. That's 800's like a mailbox in a dirt road, and you can't see what's down it.
Yeah. Well, pretty much the only time I've been to Newport was on the shore right there at the pub, and then I get on the highway and leave. Like, I don't know how big the town is. And look, don't ruin my favor for the old school charm of America's seaside city, Scott.
That is Is that
I don't know, man.
Newport, America's seaside city.
10,000's a charming number. That's a charmingly small amount of people.
You're absolutely right.
All right, so we'll be there. That's this Friday, by the way.
This Friday.
Yeah, and in fact, I think we're going to be there Thursday night, just drinking too. It's different.
Well,
it's different from Friday because you're invited Friday.
Because it's Thursday.
I don't know.
But if you happen to make it there on Thursday, we'll be there, and you can come hang out with us.
Yeah.
It'll be much like Friday, except without all the pressure.
Except you'll have an official invitation and not just be a party crasher.
Yeah,
right.
Right. So there's that.
Whatever.
All right. More Beer is giving away tickets to the National Homebrewers Conference. Go over to morebeer.com right now. You can register every day between now and April 15th. So I recommend you do so because it's 2 tickets to the NHC, it's flights, it's hotel, it's 2 VIP passes to the BN party. It's all in there. You name it. So go over to morebeer.com right now. Sign up every day for a chance to win. Do all your shopping over on Amazon by clicking the Amazon link on our homepage, and that's the way you can support us. Product of the week?
Yes. Quickly, someone bought the hotly anticipated follow-up to Fool's Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb, the third book in the Farseer trilogy. And I picked it as my product of the week because they paid 1 cent for it through a third party, from which we got 0%, which is nothing. So, I mean,
it was a good effort.
It's the thought.
It is the thought.
I like that you can get a product on Amazon for a freaking penny. That's amazing.
Great. Yeah.
Like, does it get shipped to you? I don't quite understand.
I bought books. I bought Kindle books for a penny.
So it's a download. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
there you go.
Have fun listening to your free book, you jerk.
Thank you for clicking the Amazon link and giving it a shot. We do appreciate it. Get all these updates and more over on Twitter and Facebook. Send show ideas to Scott the Jew. That's Scott@thebrewingnetwork.com. Send feedback over to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, RiverWalk Brewing Company, live and in studio here at the Hop Grenade. If you're local, come on down. If you're not, listen up. See you in a bit.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
The 21st Amendment. Watch out! Do you like beer? They make beer. Watch out! Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun. Watch out! Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment. Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out! This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, they're amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters, this is Jamel Zanisha, and I love a bold, hoppy beer, one that spits resin in your face and makes you cry, uncle. There are a lot of great hoppy beers out there, but at Heretic, we want to make something as bold, dank, and resiny as possible. We use hops at every chance we get, including multiple dry hop additions. The result is Heretic Evil Cousin. This light golden, 8% Imperial IPA has an easy malt character that helps take the edge off the massive bittering, but it takes a back seat to the in-your-face hop character. We make sure this beer finishes dry so the hops can jump out and slam you in the taste buds. If you can't get enough hoppy goodness, Evil Cousin is your cup of tea. Cheers.
You're tuned into this session because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
Welcome back to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hey, don't forget about our good friends over at the Siebel Institute of Technology. In fact, to help you remember, they are conducting a random drawing of Siebel Institute newsletter subscribers to receive fully paid tuition to any of the 3 web-based professional brewing courses. That's a value of about $13,000, folks.
Nice.
Enter to win simply by signing up to receive the Siebel Institute e-newsletter. Full details, you can just go to SiebelInstitute.com. It's the Siebel Institute of Technology, America's brewing school. All right, JP, do we have a Twitter game real quick?
We sure do.
What do you got?
Well, dogs and beer seem to go so well together. You just look around any hip beer bar, and you're sure to find at least one tied to a railing on the patio, sometimes even in people's laps. Since beer lovers seem to be inseparable from their shitty household pets, the next logical step is to brew using one. At what point would you use man's best friend as an ingredient in the brewing/serving process?
I thought that Tasty already does this.
Yeah.
I think don't you?
There's a mash bit.
Well, but, you know, he set the bar.
I see. So what
right?
now?
Right, what now?
Any part of the dog?
Whatever you could use it as a kegerator. I don't care. Whatever you want to do.
That's what I should have done with the biscuit is turn her into a dispenser.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or
should have.
Hollow it out.
Growler cover.
Hollow it out and dog age some beer inside.
Right.
She always had a leaky faucet anyway, so it wouldn't have been any good. All right. So just tweet in those answers, I guess. Is that how it works?
It's pretty much the same way.
Welcome to the 21st century.
Every week, thank you.
Put a stamp on it. It'd be great.
All right, our guests tonight are RiverWalk Brewing Company, and we've got Steve Sanderson. He's the founder and brewmaster, and Christian Susi, the head brewer. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us. We're really excited to be here.
You guys came all the way out from Massachusetts for the program.
We did,
long trip.
yes.
That is a long trip. Yeah.
Nothing else?
Mostly to avoid the 9 feet of snow that's on the ground out
Yeah,
there.
good call.
So
You're
it's
like,
not, let's be honest here.
We tried to book you in the summer, but you're like, fuck that. We're coming in when it's snowing. Nice. What else did you do when you guys were here? Did you get to some good California spots?
Yeah, we got a great tour of San Francisco from a friend of Christian's, actually. We hit, we kind of hit the tarmac around 8 o'clock Saturday night, and then hotel and straight to Magnolia Brew Pub, which was excellent. We got Toronado for a couple of beers, and then Last Call, which was great. And then yesterday was Lagunitas and Russian River up in Santa Rosa. So
okay,
we've made the most of our time, I think.
Beautiful. Yeah.
You reported to me that you were treated nicely at Toronado.
Yeah, I don't want to make too much of that because I don't want that to turn into a
interesting
thing. But
Well, because you went up to the bar and you knew what you wanted to order when you got there.
Yeah, we were businesslike. Yes, we didn't waste any time.
That's actually all it takes.
That is not all it takes.
It's amazing.
That's pretty much all it takes.
No.
It's amazing. There's really no secret.
I've never had an issue otherwise.
No, there's a secret. There's a secret for some reason.
When
not
you get
being
to the bar,
JP.
You know what you want, and don't be JP.
Don't be me. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
If I could firebomb a place, it would be that place.
Right. And then, so Russian River and Lagunitas. So you've made good use of your time.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for making it all the way out here. Give us a little bit of the RiverWalk history. How'd you guys get started in brewing?
Well, the brewery started up about 3 years ago now, actually as a sole venture with my wife and I are the owners of the brewery.
Okay.
We don't have any outside investors or anything like that, so kind of bootstrapped it all ourselves and started out with just me basically brewing all the beer, delivering, selling all the beer. Our first account was actually across the street from the original brewery, and I'd wheel a keg over on a hand truck or something like that if I had to.
That's a good place to start. Hey, where should we sell first? How about that place right there?
Yeah, how about the beer bar across the street? I don't know. Does that seem like a good plan?
Yeah.
So that was basically the origin of the brewery, and when we were first starting out, we were having a hard time finding a location and not having a ton of money to work with, and not really, wanting to take that huge risk of getting a giant space and doing a huge build out. Ended up finding a local brewery that really, really, nicely let us sublease essentially. So I set up a small 2-barrel brewing system that I had kind of built myself in the back corner of this brewery, and literally was 20 square feet or something like that, where I had this tiny little setup. And, my rent was essentially that I would work for the brewery at the same time. So I brewed beer for them. I, transferred stuff.
It was a craft brewery, I assume?
It was, yeah.
I'm surprised they had even a small amount of space. That's usually the premium at breweries, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing, this was a few years back now, and, those guys were great guys, really, really, couldn't have gotten started without them. Maybe not the best business people, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
But they did have the space, and we made it work. So basically, be me in there brewing.
Tell me about this home built 2-barrel setup. What was it made out of?
It was actually pretty. We used it up until sort of the beginning of 2014. So we put this thing to good use. I had a friend who helped me weld it, but I kind of designed the frame. It was, almost similar to systems that you might see from more beer, some of those smaller type systems. But I bought 2-barrel kettles for it, mash tun. It had a couple of pumps, heat exchanger built in, burners. I built a control panel for it. So my idea for this whole system was that you could essentially replicate a larger brewing setup, 7, 10, 20-barrel system. You could do the same process. Things would take the same amount of time. Figuring that if I could perfect the recipes on this and have a repeatable process, then we could move up to the larger system, and the scale up wouldn't be too difficult.
Okay.
And it would also kind of give me some practice at doing that. So it was designed to be essentially the same process as a larger brewing system.
But 2 barrels, just so that I have my math right, I do always have to double check the math part, is basically 4 kegs.
It is not basically 4 kegs. It is 4 kegs.
Yeah. So I'm just checking. But you're doing this commercial. You were not home brewing. This was your commercial system.
No, this was a commercial system. And the first, I got into this not really knowing honestly a lot about how commercial breweries worked, learning a lot really quickly, and then kind of getting an idea of the scale that you're looking at.
Okay.
Because when you're a home brewer, you're doing 5-10 gallons. You think 2 barrels, that sounds like a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Man, when you start commercially brewing, you look at the numbers. It's a tiny amount. So I had 2-barrel fermenter, and I had a couple 1-barrel fermenters, which was in retrospect pretty stupid. But,
it's what you had.
Yeah,
so.
it's what I had, and then and pretty quickly I started cannibalizing everything I could. I ended up fermenting some batches in 15-gallon plastic buckets.
Okay.
So there were some early batches of our IPA that were done in those buckets, and I'd have to. I'd dry hop in the bucket, and then I'd take the bucket and pick it up and move it into the cold room and have to put it up on kegs so I could get up high enough to siphon out of the bucket into a keg that I'd pulled the spear out of.
Yeah. Just a pretty uncomfortable homebrew situation. Probably.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. You must have still had a day job, because you couldn't have been selling enough beer to pay all the bills with that volume.
Oh, no. I was, I was working, I'd been a financial planner for years, and I got out of that business. And while I was getting the brewery up and running, I was actually working for a friend of mine who had his own office. So I was kind of helping him get that office set up.
Okay.
Fortunately, my wife also had a job and had benefits and all that stuff, and still does, which is
you're right, still needed,
which is key. I would recommend to anyone starting a brewery. to do that.
To meet your wife and see if she'll finance it?
Meet my wife. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law are great, too.
Nice.
I just introduce yourself to them.
Okay, yeah. So when does Christian come on board? And the reason I'm asking at this point in time is because I wonder if he came in and saw your system and thought you were crazy.
Well, he actually came on board after a lot of that stuff had passed by, because we moved after about 6 months in this. Well, we were in production for 6 months. It took us a little over a year to get licensed. So I was in this place for a little over a year and a half. But we moved after about 6 months to our own facility. Okay. So where we are now, we have our own facility. It was we built it out. We did a lot of the work ourselves, but it's much more suited for what we're doing. So he came on board. We had the 2-barrel brewery, still the brewing system, but we were actually. I was brewing into 7-barrel tanks.
Okay. So he came in and was like, "Oh, you have a cool pilot system over there." That's.
I don't know what he was thinking, actually.
What were you thinking when you came in, Christian?
I had no thoughts. I was home brewing at home on my stove, so I was thinking, "Wow, this is cool.
Nice.
Like, this is glorious.
This
got
guy
all
knows
this
what he's
fancy
doing.
equipment. He
Much nicer than my
3
home brew
brand new
setup.
7-barrel tanks. It was, nothing I had, other than tours, there was nothing I'd seen or used before. So
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you're all about it.
Yeah.
Now, so how was it licensing a brewery within a brewery? Now, I've heard of alternating proprietorships where you use the same brew house, and of course there's contract brewing. But to actually have a separate commercial license with separate equipment, did that matter?
Yeah, it was a giant pain in the ass, actually.
Okay.
It was just because it was such a strange setup that's when those applications come in, the weird ones are always the ones that are going to get put in the bottom of the pile because people don't know how to deal with them. So it was an alternating proprietorship, and we did have to get all that paperwork, kind of squared away. But I had to, and also from my inexperience, I assumed that when you sent that into the government agencies, they actually would do their jobs and just
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh, you naive.
Yeah. I assumed that they would just process it in a timely manner.
Yeah.
And so the Fed side actually took the longest, but we got through that. And then on the state side, when the state inspector came in and saw what we're trying to do, he's like, I've never even heard of this. Like,
right.
This is, I don't even know what an alternating proprietorship. So he wasn't even to that point.
Which is pretty self-explanatory, you would think.
It's not that hard. And then he actually, and again, these are the same people that have to go visit bars, and they're busting people for underage drinking, and it's not, there's very few breweries that they actually have to deal with, so they don't have the training, they don't know.
Sure.
But he didn't even know how to enter it in the system because he's like, well, there's 2 licensees with the same address. How are we even going to get this?
Yeah.
Once I made some calls to some politicians, that magically got cleared up.
Okay.
A lot more quickly.
Yeah,
So,
that's weird how that works.
yeah, strange how that happens.
Yeah, we had a similar experience.
Yeah.
And ours wasn't all that complicated either, but still, sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
Let me ask this. If it's an alternating proprietorship anyway, why not use the brew house? I assume they had a larger brew house, or was there's 1 barrel? And you were
what is this 2-barrel brew house that you speak of?
We're brewing out of coffee cans, actually. No, they had a 7-barrel system.
Okay.
So they didn't necessarily have the extra tank capacity.
Okay.
I wasn't confident at that point of being able to sell that much beer because, again, I didn't have an idea of the scale.
Yeah.
So, and my plan had been kind of all along to do this, really small to begin with. So, and also I'm kind of picky about my equipment and how it works. And, I felt like I kind of wanted to keep it separate because
that makes sense.
I wanted it to work the way I wanted it to work, and
Well, and like you said, then when you're ready to scale up, you're scaling up from your own system, and
exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Yeah, and you wanted to, it's your initial products. You wanted to have high quality, so that
yes.
So you had to have complete control of the brewing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah.
Okay. So you go on like this for a while. When did you open? When did the place?
It was so we first opened in May of 2012 is when we sold our first beer out of our original location, and then we moved in September of 2012 to the current location.
Okay. And the current location now has a 7-barrel system.
Yep, we're at a 7-barrel system now. We have we still have a couple of 7-barrel tanks, but we have 15-barrel fermenters and a 15-barrel bright tank as well.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the beer that's in our glass before we move on too much further. Which beer did you give us first?
This is Uncle Bob's. Uncle Bob's Bitter. Kind of a more traditional English-style bitter. Not a style that you see too often, at least around our area. This really came from, my love of this style of beer. I love cask beer. I've been to England a bunch of times. It's named after a friend of mine, his uncle, Uncle Bob, who took us around England. Just loves beer, but loves proper beer.
Yeah,
he's very specific about he's from York. He's from the north of England.
Okay,
he goes to London. He doesn't think he can get a good beer in London.
Yeah,
he's like, God, there's no good beers there. But he had a couple of his particular favorites that he liked, and I wanted to be able to find something like that around us, and couldn't. So
I had an Uncle Bob.
Myself. A lot of people do.
Yeah, he liked cocaine and hookers, though. He wasn't
totally different flavors.
He wasn't very discerning about beer.
Totally different bitter.
Yeah,
the wrong
different kind of bitter. Yeah.
He wasn't actually your uncle either. It's like it was the creepy dude moniker.
We all call them Uncle Bob.
Yeah,
right.
Hey, you guys are aware? Maybe you're not. That there's a Bob's Your Uncle out of Red Barn Brewery. Have you gotten a cease and desist from those guys yet?
Oh no, we sent the cease and desist.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Bob's Your Isn't that an Australian saying? Bob's Your Uncle? Is that an Australian?
I think it's English.
Australian brewery or an English thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it actually is an English bitter, this Bob's Your Uncle.
Okay, yeah.
There will be words.
Is travel how you got into liking cask ale and English beer and wanting to come back and produce it yourself?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. There's a cask beer festival that goes on in the Boston area called NEARAX, the New England Real Ale Exhibition, that's been going on for a long time, one of the oldest cask beer festivals in the U.S.
Okay.
And they do a great job, and I gotten to try some of the cask beers there, but that really spurred me to go to England, and I've been over there probably like 5 or 6 times now, and it's a whole different experience to have these beers on cask. Whether it's even the stuff that comes over here in bottle, if you've been there, you had it, it's alive, it's fresh, it's just. They do such a great job with the balance on these lower alcohol beers. I mean, the whole pub culture is great as well.
Yeah.
But that's really what kind of turned me onto this. And the next beer we're going to try, the mild, it's the same sort of thing. These are not beers that you find necessarily that readily. And on cask, I think they really shine.
This is a great bitter out of the bottle. Do you guys? Is it bottle conditioned or forced carb and then bottle?
Well. So we don't really do a lot of bottling right now.
Okay.
We're actually going to be. We're in the process of buying a bottling line. So everything that we're having today was hand bottled off a counter pressure filler that Christian built.
Nice.
And Christian can tell you how efficient this machine is.
Not very efficient. I spent a better part of a day bottling these just to bring them to California. So.
Right.
We appreciate this.
We lost 6 barrels in the bottling process.
Actually, the loss is very minimal. It's just time consuming.
See. Yeah. Quick side note, just because I'm thinking of this counter pressure filling. When we were just in Texas, you're allowed to fill growlers at a lot of the beer bars there. You can take growlers to go. And there was a place pretty much dedicated to that. You can go in and have a pint too, but because any one of their taps, and maybe there was 20 of them or something, could do growlers, instead of having a regular tap that you might hook a hose up to, all of their taps were Blickman beer guns. And the beer guns all just sat in a tub of probably sanitite or something. They'd pull it out. They would pour both your pints or fill your growler with a Blickman beer gun counter pressure filler. So they didn't have a single normal draft where you just pull the handle and pour it into a glass.
That's weird.
Isn't that strange?
That's really strange.
They just want to put guns in everything.
I'm sure this was a bar that had multiple breweries beer?
Yes.
It wasn't, wow.
Yes.
I'm sure John Blickman thanks them very much.
Right? I know. It's a huge Blickman advertisement. It should be in his catalog. But I see why, right? Because they do each and every one, they don't want to switch out an apparatus, whether it's going to be a glass or a growler that they want to counter pressure fill. But what a pain in the ass it must be to pour pints.
Oh my God!
Every time.
Yeah.
Anyhow, just
their
thinking
trigger fingers are real strong.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just go back to something you said a second ago, where you thought maybe they were bottle conditioning? Is this a style of beer you would ever bottle condition?
I think so. I think that would actually be kind of the natural way to do it. And in fact, in the cask, it would be conditioned if you were casking. Do I have that right?
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely correct. You would. I think bottle conditioning would certainly work well with this style. I mean, we don't have the setup to be able to do that.
Sure. Some of the ideas behind it is that it's a different sort of carbonation. It can be a little bit softer, and it's certainly just more traditional. However, it's also kind of a pain in the ass to be consistent, right?
Yeah, and for what we do with this beer, we try and keep the carbonation level well below what a traditional American, ale carbonation would be at. So we're trying to mimic that cask style.
I love the level you did with this one.
Because it keeps the beer... What happens is if you carbonate this too much, the beer gets thin. It can be a little bit astringent. You lose some of the subtlety with the malt, and there's a sort of fruitiness with from the yeast character, and that can kind of get thinned out with too much carbonation.
Yeah. No one will be surprised to hear that when I screw up some of my recipes and they're a little out of balance, like on that sweet side, I'll just overcarbonate a little bit and try to thin it out like you're talking about.
What do you mean when you screw up some of your recipes?
I know. It never really works, but I always try because of explanations like that. People go, well, it will kind of lift it off your palate and thin it out a little bit, and so I use it as a tool.
Or it'll just pour all foam and no one will get any anyway.
Yeah, or there's that. I really like the carbonation level of this one. I think you did it just right. So you did it just for something like this, but usually this is just going into a keg for you guys.
Yeah. So the way that we distribute right now, we do all our own distribution. Most of our volume is on draft, is in kegs. But we started, we fill growlers at the brewing. We sell growlers at the brewing. We started doing the 32-ounce growler there, and it got really popular. And we ended up putting some of those on shelves. And before we knew it, we had a lot of liquor stores that wanted them, a lot of places that want them. So we're sending out right now a lot of 32-ounce growlers.
Nice.
Which is great. Gets beer out there. People like it. The downside is we're basically filling on demand right now. So if we get orders from 10 or 20 liquor stores on a Monday or Tuesday, we're filling those for delivery on Thursday and Friday because we don't want them to sit there on the shelf too long because the shelf life just isn't the same on them.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why we're going to be investing in a bottling line and kind of doing the bottling more properly. We'd looked at doing 22s like we brought today and doing something a little bit more manual, but it was really hard for me to pull the trigger on a process that I didn't feel was going to treat the beer as best as it possibly could.
Thank you.
So the timeline...
And also, Christian would be dead. So
Just too much. So the timeline for a new bottling line is when your wife gets a second job? Or
it's when the fine folks at the financing companies, which I will not name, decide that they would like to finance this project. We're actually targeting May to have bottles out there.
Excellent. Okay.
So it's going to be a big switch for us, but it's going to be a really, really positive development as far as being able to get good quality, shelf stable beer out there.
Well, tell us about the recipe in this one so we can try the mild too.
Christian, you want to jump in on that?
So we're talking about the bitter here still.
Yeah, the recipe on this one's relatively simple. Golden Promise as a base malt. We use a lot of Thomas Fawcett English malts. So Thomas Fawcett Golden Promise. There's a touch of crystal in there, possibly 4.5-5% crystal, and that's it as far as malt goes.
Okay.
English strain of yeast. It's a Tim Taylor strain. It comes from Brewing Science Institute, A69, I believe is the number.
Okay. Does that come? How does that come to you? Is that a dry yeast or a liquid yeast?
That comes to us in liquid. So previously we bought that yeast direct from BSI, and they would send you kind of like if we bought a 7-barrel pitch, they would send you a 7-barrel pitch, and it's the liquid yeast.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the yeast strains right now that we're propagating in-house. Saves a little money.
Okay.
I'll take a quick side note here. Our first 3 beers that we came out with in our year-round beers that we currently have are our IPA, Uncle Bob's that we just had, and Nomad, which is a farmhouse ale. Again, in my sort of naivete, I was like, oh, this is great. I can use 3 different yeast strains for these 3 main beers.
Okay.
Which is, it's awesome as far as having different styles and different tastes, but from a logistics standpoint, it's a giant pain in the ass because you got to keep these different yeast strains going. You got to make sure that they're doing what they need to do.
You're juggling.
Yeah, they're juggling. But that leads us to what Christian was talking about with proper.
We're only doing this with 3 tanks at the time too.
Okay.
3 different yeast strains, 3 tanks.
Do the math.
Yeah. Hey, go down to the hardware store. Get another bucket. I'm bringing in a 6th strain, Christian.
We're getting 11 new fermenters. It's going to be great.
Yeah. They're on sale right now.
Turns out they're only $2 at Home Depot.
Yeah. How do you guys propagate your own yeast? Do you have? You must have some kind of a stainless tank then. Glass tank. I don't know.
So currently, we're pretty much going from a slant. So we bought a pitch of this yeast and we, plated some yeast and kind of banked it.
Okay.
And then when we need to kind of get a fresh pitch, we'll start from a slant and kind of step up flask to flask. And
nice.
Really, what we found is what works easier is we only have to go. We step up from a small flask to a slightly bigger flask to a couple bigger flasks, and then we go into a couple 20-liter jerry cans, just plastic jerry cans.
Okay.
And that's usually enough to get a 7-barrel batch going.
Got it.
And then we'll start trying to harvest from that batch and repitch as much as we can. But
okay. How many generations are you finding you're getting before you got to start that over again?
It depends on the strain. What usually we run into is the fact that with our production schedule, we can't keep it going long enough to get to that level because we're doing a different beer. If we were constantly doing Uncle Bob's, just one after the other, we could probably keep that going for, 10, 15 generations, I would think. This doesn't tend to drift too much, although the last, where we're at right now, I think we need to start from a new pitch. But, what we found is that the viability and the vitality of the yeast is really important, maybe even more so than the pitching rate. So we're probably technically under pitching as far as that, that cell count that everybody wants you to use. But because this stuff is so raring to go, it takes off, it attenuates, we can harvest it. We don't really experience anything adverse like that.
Yeah. But, not having any issues with it.
Yeah. But I mean, we've propped in, we used some of the smaller tanks. Like we used 1-barrel conicals that we used to prop the yeast up.
Okay.
But we've gotten 7-barrel batches going with, like Christian was saying.
It is a big savings, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a microscope where you can look at the viability and stuff?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't. What's cool about that is you don't really need a lot of fancy equipment to do it. You just need some good process and some good techniques, and people can do it at home. If you get the desire.
So what are you looking for? Basically, looking for that viability under a microscope is a cell count, essentially, right? Or are you looking for misshapen cells, or what am I looking for?
Yeah, you want the morphology to be good, which is the shapes of the cells. You want them to be pretty uniform. You can test the viability with a stain, basically methylene blue or something like that. But we tend to just kind of go with the results that we're getting. When we see things taking off, looking at pHs, looking at the how quickly it gets going, attenuation rates, all that kind of stuff.
Behaves normally.
Yeah,
exactly.
I understand. Are you guys in the beginning of the process? We did a lot of cell counting, and you start to see repetition and patterns, and you kind of go with that, and you're getting kind of the same growth, and then the numbers repeat. Like you said, your attenuations, your times, your pHs.
Okay.
Are you guys using wort from a previous brew to grow your pitches, or are you guys making your own? Okay.
No, we'll use it from whatever batch is coming up. So if I need about 5 days. To grow up the pitch of yeast. So whatever's planned out that 5 days, I'll use a wort from that batch.
Got it. So it's like making several beers before you get to the other beer, though. Basically propagating, right? You do it in one vessel, then you give it some more wort, you put it into a larger starter, and you just keep stepping up, right?
Yeah. You start with a very small flask. You'll start with maybe 100 milliliter flask, and then you'll step up to 250 to 500 to a liter, and then you go up to 10, 20 liters or whatever.
Okay.
But what's nice about the way that we do it is he can just Christian can just pull from if he's brewing a batch of IPA, he knows he needs this much, he can pull that into those flasks. Those flasks are sterilized and basically ready to go from that batch, and then he starts the yeast, and the next day you step it up. The next day we step it up again. We'll put it on a stir plate to keep it going, keep it aerated, keep it moving.
So how many strains are you using kind of on the regular now? You said you started out thinking you'd do a whole bunch, and sounded like maybe you pared it down.
On the regular, we're probably still using 3 strains.
3, okay.
Yeah.
And then if you bring in some seasonal or just some recipe idea you guys have, you might do something different.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so a couple of the beers that we brought today, like Unveiled, that we'll get to, uses a different strain. And, we did a lager for the first time, so that's a different strain. But I think, we're not afraid to bring in a different yeast and kind of experiment with it, which it really opens up the canvas a lot, I think, as far as, being able to do different beers.
Okay.
But with your prop techniques, you could just go to the home brew supply store and get a vial.
And we do that.
And you do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then you're getting a pretty nice, healthy starting pitch. And
we'll order directly from White Labs, let's say, and we'll get, we can just get a couple of vials. If we really need to, we can get a full pitch. But, being a cheap bastard, I like to get the homebrew vials and do it ourselves.
And just do it that way,
You're paying the price for being small. You might as well get some benefit of being small, too.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And just the hops in the bitter real quick, just in case listeners wanted to hear the rest of the recipe there. What was in that?
So we pretty much bitter every beer right now with Warrior.
Okay.
Just gives a nice clean bitterness. It's a good bittering hop. And then some Fuggles and some EKG.
Okay.
Actually, no, correct. Error. Steering Goldings and EKG.
Got it.
We give a little small dry hop, we look to mimic the cask condition. We always dry hop that beer on cask when we serve it on cask.
Yeah, we found we would do this on cask, and we'd go and drink the cask, and we'd be like, oh my God, this tastes so much better. Like, what is, part of it was part of it's the cask, but the dry hop as well.
Just to clarify for anybody, that means dry hopping right in the vessel that you're going to be serving out of. So not
Correct.
dry hopping some batch of beer and then moving it to casks. You dry hop in the cask.
That's the way that we were. So the original Uncle Bob's had no dry hop in the fermentation in the tank. But if we happen to do a cask of it, we would dry hop in that cask.
Got it.
So we decided to take some of that from the cask and actually dry hop the full batch.
Okay.
Yeah,
I see.
And that's a mix of EKG and Styrian.
Got it.
Dry hop.
It's a smart way to do it. That's what changed my opinion about English beer, was tasting actual beer dry hopped in the cask. It went,
it's
fresh.
a world of difference.
So it was all the difference in the world. It was so different. Okay. Before we got to take a break, let's talk about the next one in our glass. And now this one is a mild, right? We've gone from a bitter to a mild.
Yes.
What should a mild be like, Steve?
In my mind, a mild, this is a dark mild. There, I guess technically there's, sort of a couple of subsets. I don't like to get too hung up on the specific style. For me, I want a mild to be malt focused. I want it to be not too sweet, but I want some roastiness. I want some toffee notes. Over and above that, I want something that's easy to drink, though. I want something that's going to finish nicely, that I can have a couple of pints of. This is about 3.5%, so it's a really, really nice level for like a session beer. We got one of the best compliments I think we've had in a while when a guy from England was in the brewery last week. He was a camera member. His favorite style of beer is mild.
Okay.
And he came over and specifically told us, he's like, this is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's pretty high praise. On a beer like this.
From an Englishman.
Yeah. From an Englishman.
That's the phrase you want right there.
They don't like anything.
Yeah.
Well, I like your description of very malty and malt forward, but without being sweet. And I think that this one definitely hits that on the head. There's not a lot of sweetness left behind.
It's a really unsexy style of beer. Like, it's not, I'm not going to lie. Like, we had a hard time selling it.
Okay.
The style isn't, but making a good one is sexy. This
yeah.
is really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. This is good. It's, the malt character is really interesting. Yeah. The even though it's on the lower side in terms of intensity, but it's 3.5%.
There's
the toffee, the chocolate, the roast. It's really nice.
Use the Fawcett crystal malts like you do.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this there's we're using Marisada on this for the base malt. There's some Crystal 45, a little Fawcett chocolate, and a touch of Fawcett black.
Okay. So it's still pretty simple, but that Marisada is what's probably coming through the most for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has so we switched to we actually were using Marisada in Uncle Bob's originally, but it was a little too biscuity, a little too nutty. So the Golden Promise is a little bit cleaner, a little bit smoother.
Mm-hmm.
But the Marisada in this just adds that nice dimension of that kind of nuttiness.
Yeah.
It helps to build that malt character without being too sweet.
Yeah. You guys mentioned to me before the show that you went over to Magnolia last night too, who is also kind of our local English style brewer.
Very happy about that.
Yeah, he has his and he's Dave McLean. Actually, by the way, you look like a skinny Dave McLean.
Did they comp you over there?
Yeah, I know, they're like, Dave. Look, Dave's here 20 years ago.
Yeah, you're looking great, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, Christian
working out?
looks like Dave. And anyhow, he's just an enormous fan of Maris Otter, too. And I think does a good job getting that to come out in his beers, like he did here.
Yeah, it's a fantastic malt. It's just you can add so much character to a beer with just that change of like Steve was talking about in the Uncle Bob's, just the change from the Maris Otter like going to the Golden Promise. You could see how much was taken out of that beer. It was necessary for the Uncle Bob's, but it really gave you a vision of what the difference was between the Maris and something like the Golden Promise.
Yeah,
it just has so much character on its own.
It does. As a joke, Magnolia did a double mild at GABF.
That's
but
awesome.
The reason they did it was because they had found this local grower of Maris Otter. They were growing it and processing it, I think, all themselves. And he just loved it. So he's like, well, let's try to make a beer that is now even more, Maris Otter. And they just, as the joke, called it a double mild. It was awesome. I mean, it really came through with all these flavors and even more of them, while, again, still not leaving you with like a sweet aftertaste, Came out good. So I like what you're doing with this beer. And is this hopped pretty much the same as a bitter?
This is hopped very different. Okay. 9.5 ounces of Warrior hops in a 7-barrel batch.
Wow. And that's it.
That's it.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. That's nothing.
There was nothing else.
And no dry hop afterward either?
Nope. This is all malt.
I'm really surprised about that.
What are the gravities that you got, like starting and finishing?
I think this clocked in about 10:37 starting and finished at 10:12, 10:13.
Yeah,
nice.
I think one of the keys too is the yeast choice. So for this, the Timothy Taylor strain, I really like the balance that it leaves. It doesn't put out a ton of diacetyl. It leaves the malt there, but it's not. Again, it's like that rounded quality. The hops can shine through on the bitter a little bit, and that's a tough balance to get. I've used some of the other English strains and just not had the same kind of results with them.
Okay,
so I think that helps. There's a bit of a fruitiness, almost like a stone fruit character that imparts. But I really like the way it finishes.
Well, I can't argue. It's a very well balanced beer.
Maris Otter will leave you a lot of body, and that's what you can. That's what really makes the beer, I think.
Yeah, you need that. You need that on a 3.5% beer too. Again, because if this thing dried out, forget it.
Okay, yeah,
it'd be too thin.
If you were to serve this on cask, would you dry hop the cask, or would you just leave it like that on cask too?
Probably just leave it as is. I mean, we've done a cask of it, and it was
no dry hop.
It was great as is.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Did the camera guy know that it wasn't actually cask conditioned when he complimented it, or was he drinking from the cask?
We didn't mention that. No, he drank it from a bottle. He drank it from a bottle, so he knew.
Wow,
nice.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break, and Beardy's alluding there too. You guys were on a show as well, a beer show, right? I watched some of it.
You actually watched? All right.
I did. I mean, I watched what I could.
You watched you watched what you could tolerate?
Worst fucking host I have ever seen on the planet.
I thought BYOB was fine. I thought we did all right.
I mean, no offense if he became your friend or something, but
oh no,
the guy was
He's my brother-in-law.
Just awful.
The stories I could tell you about what went on behind the scenes of this thing. I'll just say this: the show was supposed to be an hour.
Okay.
And mysteriously, the week before it went on the air, it got changed to a half an hour.
Wow. Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to hear. We're going to talk about that when we come back. So we're going to take a quick break. We're talking to RiverWalk Brewing Company here today, and we're having fun doing so, tasting some great beer. If you've got questions, 888-401-BEER, or hit the chat button on the homepage, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. It's The Session.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Limited time only. Enter promo code BNARMY during January and February for 10% off any Monster Mill. Don't settle for the second best grain mill. You want a Monster Mill from Monster Brewing Hardware. Monster Mills are tough, come in 2 and 3 roller designs, and are made right here in the USA from superior materials for longer lasting performance. Pick the mill that's right for you at monsterbrewinghardware.com and take Bevo's advice.
Trust me, it's always better to have a bigger tool than you think you need.
Monster mills have the best warranty in the business. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Visit monsterbrewinghardware.com now and check out all the mills and mill accessories. Remember, during January and February, for 10% off any mill, enter promo code BNARMY. Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Hey, Wooly, I'm beat. Can we find a nice tree to just hang out in for a while?
You're beat. I've been swinging through this forest for 50 years, ever since we first escaped from the circus. I know, but there's got to be more to life than exploring this creek and trying to populate the valley by copulating with loose, hairy girls. Marquis, stop. Look!
What is that?
It looks like a man-made treehouse
with fresh food
and craft beer.
Welcome to the Creek Monkey Tap House, boys. Grab a seat. Creek Monkeys drink free.
Awesome! The Creek Monkey Tap House in Martinez, California takes their mission of fresh food and beer seriously. They only serve locally raised beef and chicken, as well as local sustainable produce. It's better for you and the planet, and it just tastes better. The beer and wine at Creek Monkey Tap House are chosen with the same care for the highest quality and rotate frequently to make each visit an adventure. Swing on into the Creek Monkey Tap House and enjoy a new legend of amazing food, beer, and wine. The Creek Monkey Tap House, online at creekmonkey.com.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a home brew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small. Single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit.
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Brewcasters are back. 888-401-BEER.
Whatever.
Welcome back to the program. Thank you for sticking with us. Hey, did I let you know about Beersmith brewing software yet? I don't think I did. Go to beersmith.com and check it out. You get a free 21-day trial. It helps you do all your recipes and everything else you need to do. In fact, I used it on my last brew day, which, contrary to popular belief, was only a couple weeks ago. And we all use Beersmith brewing software around here. It's available on PC and Mac. It's a great piece of brewing software. You can also find podcasts over there at beersmith.com and new brewing DVDs. They did their first one with John Palmer, How to Brew All Grain. So I'm sure it's a great DVD. Go check it out over at beersmith.com. All right, so we left you before the break talking about a television show that you... Was it just you that did it, Steve?
Yeah, this was actually before I started the brewery, when I was still in planning, trying to get the brewery started, trying to figure out how to do it. And a friend of mine let me know that somebody was looking for home brewers in the Boston area to be on this show that was going to be on the History Channel.
It's called History on Tap.
History on Tapped. And I actually...
When was this?
This was way back in 2010.
Okay.
And I ended up on this show with a friend of mine that I had been brewing with at the time because they were looking for teams. I would imagine most people missed it because it was only aired once.
One episode.
At noon the day after Christmas.
Noon.
2010. And as I may have mentioned, originally slated to be an hour, mysteriously cut down to a half an hour. Shortly before the airtime, and
let me see if I can just summarize the concept really quick. From what I was able to watch, I summarize it as the concept was that they would bring back historical types of beer and maybe historical ingredients and have homebrewers compete against each other brewing whatever historical beer they wanted produced.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost say it's similar to like a top shelf kind of show where you have a couple of teams and you have a challenge and you have to use special ingredients, but the whole thing was historically based. So it was, for us, our challenge was to brew a style of beer that Pilgrims might have drank, but to make it palatable to a modern audience. So
not a style of beer that Pilgrims would have.
The opposite.
So pretty much,
and not a style modern day drinkers would drink either.
It pretty much would appeal to nobody.
Yeah, I love
by the time
treacle.
we were done.
Treacle's my favorite.
Yeah,
oxidized treacle beer.
So, what was your experience on the show? Did you enjoy it?
I can definitely report that reality TV is not real. I know, shocker for everybody. But I think the experience was really positive in the end. Doing the show was challenging because they've got a show to build. They want to build the drama and they want to set these things up and they want to pit you against other brewers and like they have this whole sort of agenda. And we just want to brew a good beer.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to like jump through their hoops, but also like brew a beer that we can be proud of. So anyway, we ended up winning the competition. They had a panel of expert judges, and then the public got to vote on the winner. Garrett Oliver was one of the expert judges. But for whatever reason, which doesn't mean show up on the show, the judges just ripped our beer apart.
Oh.
So, and I don't know if this was just...
They were told to.
Yeah.
I told my judges to do it on our show all the time.
There you go.
What pissed me off is they wouldn't do it, a bunch of pussies. And I was like, come on, rip this beer up a little bit.
You got to crack the whip.
They were all homebrewers.
This is why beer TV shows don't work, because maybe just brewers aren't inherently a very dramatic subset.
Exactly. And you can't get them to... behave.
Yeah.
We had one guy on our show that would do it, Matt Peterson. He was great. He went around
everything.
He went around because he knew that's what I wanted too. He went around messing with everybody.
He didn't need any encouragement from you.
Yeah,
you might want to talk to Christian after the show. I don't know.
Right. So tell me about some of the behind the scenes with this guy, because you kind of laugh when I mentioned the host. The host. I don't even know where his accent is from. He's Irish, Australian, English, or something, or he doesn't have an accent.
Faking it.
Yeah,
I think it's the ascot choking him.
Yes. Yeah.
He did. He wore the ascot. It was about 90 degrees. He wore the ascot continuously. He's
committed.
They brought him to my house at one point. He sweated through like 3 shirts in like the hour that he was at my
backups.
House.
Yeah.
Okay, swap a shirt out.
They knew.
Yeah, they had a whole like wardrobe team there.
Wow.
But he was, oh man. They literally, the finale of the show, they ended up putting an earpiece in this guy's ear and just feeding him each line because he just couldn't do it. And
because he couldn't ad-lib, or because he was drunk?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he could, it wasn't that difficult. I mean, it was, this guy's got this beer, this guy's, what do you think? What do you want to do? But it took forever. Like we were stuck in this little, they kept us like hidden in this little room at Harpoon before the judging. And we were there for hours and we can't figure it out. And then eventually, they lead us up and we figure it out because the guy's got to do a line. Somebody's got to tell it to him. Got to stand there.
Yeah.
Do it again. But, our surprise at winning this thing was real. That was like one real moment in the show because the judges ripped us apart, but the people really liked the beer. They voted for it.
Yeah.
And for me, the best part was that we got to brew our winning beer at Harpoon. In a way, they sort of took one of their base recipes and we were able to modify it, but I got to see how that whole setup worked, and
sure,
that process really gave me the confidence because I could see, okay, this is a big successful commercial brewery. This is how they're doing things, and they're letting me come in and pick a yeast strain and talk about how we want to, I want to do this. I want to add this ingredient in this place. How do you want to ferment it? And I could see them doing it, and even though I realized there was a lot more going into it than that, it made me think that this is not this is not that different than homebrewing in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it's the same basic process. And so, if these guys can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's a good experience then.
And they were great. And Harpoon was really, really excellent to work with through this.
Yeah.
And as
how long did it take to shoot one episode? Like days, weeks?
It was a process of probably 2 to 3 weeks because I think we had 3 to 4 days of actual shooting that we had to brew and ferment and all that stuff.
It was BYOB. What year did we do BYOB?
I don't know. 2011.
So maybe we stole it from then.
Yeah, maybe. That sounds about right.
Well, I wonder why everything we did looked familiar.
That's assuming that anybody saw the show to steal it.
Yeah. Oh, the guy.
But did they make their own deal? That's the question.
They didn't, I'm sure.
How does somebody that sucks that bad get a national TV hosting gig?
It looked like
That's what everybody working on this was wondering.
He looked real good in his ascot.
He had a friend, I'm sure of it. So he was like a famous chef, it seemed like, or maybe, quote unquote famous chef in some way, shape, or form. Probably had somebody who liked, this idea that maybe he had or somebody fed him. And I don't know, it's just somebody makes a bad decision and then they don't back out.
If he was a famous chef, you probably had an agent. And the agent probably talked their way into this thing and be like, look, it's going to be a perfect platform for him. We'll do some deals.
But the problem is that someone should have backed out on it. Someone should have gone, and I don't even mean the show. Yeah. I mean, someone should have gone, this concept might work, but we got to lose the guy.
Exactly. About halfway through, I was going to volunteer. I was like, look,
I could do a better job.
I think I could do this better.
Yeah.
Well, there's no reason you can't. I mean, he can sear a scallop, therefore he can host a TV show. It doesn't. You're in the financial industry, therefore you can host a TV show. It's all the same argument.
It's all the same.
Why not? So yeah, but I think
can people still download it or?
It's not available online. Well, that's why I had to send it to you guys. I don't think for all intents and purposes, I don't think it exists.
I've tried to find it. It doesn't exist.
History has already burned all of the copies.
Not just History Channel. I wonder if the dude saw it and was like, "Man, I do suck. I got to pull that off, or I'll never get a gig."
It's ironic when a history show erases all history of the show.
Deeply ironic.
So the best part of this is that when I finally saw this final show air, I was like, wow, he really comes across pretty well in this compared to what he was like in person.
Oh, really?
I was like he's this.
Interesting.
That's how bad it was.
Okay, yeah. So. I mean, he's like talking with his hands, but for no reason. Like there are like places where he would go. And so right now we're in the fermentation room, and he's throwing his hands out at your. There's no reference to the fermentation room when you're just throwing your fingers at the camera,
right?
And he's really loud, and the accent that doesn't exist in accents. It's not an accent.
Yeah, well, maybe it's a historical accent. Right. So you don't know.
It was a Pilgrim accent, I think.
Right, yes.
Maybe. If the show had gone on, he would have changed it to whatever the beer style was every episode.
Pilgrims were notorious hand talkers also. So that was really
Maybe I'm the idiot, and he had it all right.
I love the hands thing, because you know what happened, where he was super wooden and like stiff, and some producer was like,
you got
hey, man, loosen up, use your hands a little bit, and he just went completely in the other direction.
Right.
I love it.
I'm pretty sure he has the same accent as that family that grows up in the woods in Alaska. I think that might be where it's from.
The backwoods accent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so weird. It was weird. It was fun for me to watch, though.
Well, I figured you would get some entertainment out of it one way or another.
Yeah, no, thank you for sending it. I appreciate that.
How big were your expectations? Like when you guys wrapped, were you thinking, man, this might air on History Channel, I'm going to get some national exposure, maybe I'll start a brewery? How far ahead were you thinking?
Oh, absolutely. Like we were really jazzed like when we won the thing, and they pumped us up, and Harpoon I think had big expectations of it too, because they're basically doing this for publicity, and I think they the part of the idea was that we were going to brew this beer, and this was going to be for sale, and like they were going to kind of brand this thing, and like they thought this was going to, because this was the pilot for the show, they thought it was going to take off, maybe like I don't know, like the Sam Calgione show.
Yeah, they thought
that took off. Renewed for 6 total episodes.
Beer shows don't really have a good track record, but so yeah, I thought this was going to be a lot bigger than it was. I mean, I don't think I wasn't disappointed necessarily, but you could see it start to happen. Like once you saw the show, and then once we saw like, okay, Harpoon's backing down their expectations.
I see. Yeah.
It all kind of shifted. So it's it was a great experience.
Well, good. All right, let's talk about the beer that's in our glass. Now we have a Belgian Pale Ale. So tell us about this beer.
I'm going to swing this to Christian because this is his creation.
Got it.
So Belgian Pale Ale. I think I use the style loosely. I don't really know what to call this. This beer actually derived from making a beer for my cousin's wedding. So we came up with a beer. It was kind of a long road, kind of long process of, he's a chef, so he threw a lot of ingredients at me.
Okay.
To say, I want this and this and this, and it was kind of...
You threw a lot of middle fingers back at him?
Yeah, basically like, okay, let's cut this and this and this out and simplify this thing a little bit.
How did he have time to do this in between hosting television shows?
Yeah.
Well, once you take off the ascot, the energy level...
He was sweating a lot.
So anyway, it started out as one thing and kind of morphed into this. So really the crux of this beer is pink peppercorns and hibiscus flowers. That is kind of the special addition to it.
Okay.
Aside from that, it's a super simple beer. This, again, is some Golden Promise, a touch of Carapils, and kind of a different yeast strain that we found with a little help and guidance from Steve. We went with, I think this is Yeast 3942. It's their Belgian wheat.
Which I think is derived from the Didol yeast strain, which is it's really nice. It's got a nice kind of tart finish to it, but very clean.
Okay.
Different ester profile than some of the Belgian yeast will have. There's none of that cloviness or anything like that.
Which is a good choice, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the aroma is just awesome. The first thing that catches my palate right there when I brought it up to my nose.
Yep.
I thought... I like that you said hibiscus. It almost has a little bit of like a gingerbread taste to it, but I knew it wasn't like ginger, and I knew it wasn't any like nutmeg and things like that. But something that makes it nice, like a very subtle gingerbread flavor comes together.
Yeah, there's a very subtle spice that comes from the pink peppercorn. It's a little bit of a misnomer because they're technically a dried fruit, but they do give off this unique spiciness. So I think that in combination, the hibiscus can be a little bit sweet.
Mm-hmm.
The peppercorns have this like touch of spiciness, and that yeast strain as well. You get the tartness in there, which kind of it all works together, I think, to balance it out nicely.
Yeah, I think the important thing about this too is we're talking about hibiscus, pink peppercorn. These are kind of odd ingredients for beer, but it doesn't overwhelm the beer.
No,
the beer, it's delicate, it's light. The beer is still there, and all this sort of just helps to kind of enhance that. And that's if we're going to be using a spice or some kind of unconventional ingredient, it's got to do that. The beer's still got to be there. It can't be a punch in the face with the spice.
And am I crazy, or is there a little tint of pink or red or something? Like it's not
definitely is.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was the lighting in here or what.
The color is very unique.
Because it's certainly not pink, nor is it just amber. It's kind of both.
Yep.
That's cool.
In a 7-barrel batch, there's, I think, 4 pounds of hibiscus flowers.
Okay.
So dried hibiscus flower.
It really changes the color.
Yeah.
It's a cool color.
And there's no crystal malt, just
no crystal, just Carapils and Golden Promise.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
What's the ABV on this?
That is, on this batch, I dried it out a little bit more, so I think this is pushing like 6%.
Okay. This is a great beer.
Very nice.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I like the peppercorns.
Very
with
refreshing, easy to drink,
yeah,
but still complex, yeah.
Does it all go in the kettle, the peppercorns and the hibiscus?
Yeah, I add those all in at the Whirlpool.
Okay.
And they stay in the kettle for the duration of knockout.
And did you experiment with it with several homebrew batches before nailing down the quantity? Or
I did one.
You got it right.
Yeah, I did one. I did a 5-gallon batch with some extract.
Okay.
I was just really looking to see how the hibiscus and the peppercorns were going to kind of react, what they were going to give me. My biggest fear was extracting a bunch of tannins from the hibiscus. So I did one homebrew batch, and
Then we did, then a 2-barrel batch after that, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
A 2-barrel batch we did just for the wedding, and after that we decided to go, step it up and do a bigger batch and continue to do it.
I would think this would be a popular beer for you guys.
It's pretty popular now, and it's been gaining popularity every time we do it.
What's it called again? Sorry.
Unveiled.
Unveiled. Okay.
How did the hibiscus behave in the whirlpool? Did it settle down to the bottom, or was it still floating on top?
I bag it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bag it. Both
Just
the pepper,
tea bags.
both the
To make
peppercorns,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Basically giant tea bags.
Okay.
Yep.
And the peppercorns are whole?
They're whole, but the pink peppercorns are very soft. So I bag them, and then I basically just crush them up in my hands. I rub the bags and crush the peppercorns up in my hands in the bags to kind of expose everything. And hibiscus flowers are just like I get cut and sifted dried flowers.
But you leave it in there the whole time. It's just in a bag. That way it all
It's
stays
just in a
together.
bag. I drop them in the kettle. A lot of times I'll just tie them off so one doesn't happen to, fall on the outlet and stop my whole knockout.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they could clog things up.
Yeah,
pretty
Yeah,
well.
they get sucked over to the outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you had in the early days, you concentrated on a repeatable production type process. Did you find that actually did scale up the way that you'd like?
It did, actually. Very fortunately, it did, because when we switched over from our 2-barrel system to our 7-barrel system, we had basically no window of time. We were coming up on Memorial Day. We had a big beer festival coming up. So the first batches that came out of that had to be good. They had to be right on. And, fortunately, because of all that work we had done and keeping everything repeatable and just getting that stuff nailed down, it worked. We've had to make a couple little adjustments, but I think we were all just pretty blown away by how those first, bigger batches compared to the earlier batches.
Great.
All right, you poured a Pilsner in our glass now, and I'm surprised, actually, at your size scale that you guys do a Pilsner, just taking up equipment that is scarce, right?
I'm surprised as well.
Yeah.
Well, this was honestly kind of a challenge for us. It was something that we said, you know what, Pilsner is one of my favorite styles. It's like the first beer I really drank. I drank Pilsner in the Czech Republic when I was like 15.
Okay.
So that got me started on the path, and it was like, you know what, we just got some extra, well, not extra, we got some new tanks at the beginning of this year, and they weren't all being utilized, and we had a little bit of space, and we said, let's give it a shot, let's try it, and see how it goes. So this is our first lager, our first Pils. I've done some on a homebrew scale, but
okay,
it's kind of a challenge to ourselves in a way.
Tell us about it. It's all about the malt in this. Well, I guess Pilsner also has to have some great hop character as well. But
yeah, it's got to have some good hop character. This is pretty. We tried to go pretty straightforward, but also knowing that the water is going to have a big impact on this beer. So we were it's kind of, to me, it kind of falls in between a Czech style and a German style. It's a little bit drier than a Czech style, but it's very simple. It's a German Pilsner malt and again a touch of Carapils in this.
Okay.
Saaz hops all the way through.
Good choice.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent choice. It's
a little honey
hops.
in the nose.
Yeah.
Is that the malt or the Saaz?
It's the malt.
That's the malt, and I think it's also the way that yeast kind of expresses itself sometimes with the malt.
Okay.
It's very clean, but you'll get some of that. We're pretty fortunate to have the water that we have because it's pretty close to Pilsen water in a lot of ways. I mean, it's got slightly elevated mineral levels from that, but it's like a blank slate. So we can add what we need to add. And for this beer, we added very, very little. Sure. As far as minerals go. So one of the things that I learned early on when I was homebrewing was, hey, my pale beers are coming out great. I could do a Pilsner, but I would try and brew stouts, anything dark, and it was not working, and that's how I learned about water chemistry. Yeah. It's like, my pH is all off. I don't have enough minerals, Mm-hmm. So, we're in a good area for that, though.
Got it.
Which makes it easier.
What style yeast did you guys use? More towards the Czech Bohemian style or German?
This is more towards the German. This is actually the kind of 3470 Weinstefaner.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's another good beer. The only I have nothing but good comments about all these beers. This one is a little undercarbonated for my taste for a Pilsner, but I don't care because the rest of it tastes so good. It doesn't even matter, really.
Some of that might just be from the way we bottled it.
Yeah. Coming out of solution there, yeah. No, you guys did a good job on your first lager. Well done.
Thank you.
This would, I think, be another big seller for you come the summertime, and
we'll see. We have to make more of it for it to sell. But
if it lasts, yeah. Great beer. What minerals did you add to your water? You said you added just a little bit.
Really just a pinch of calcium chloride. All I wanted was the calcium levels up to, I wanted to make sure we don't filter anything, so I wanted to make sure this beer really dropped clear. Mm-hmm. So to make sure that yeast flocculated out well, and the only goal was to get that just enough to get the calcium levels to, where I needed it for that. and no other additions.
Okay.
You got a really nice clarity. Where do you use finings? How did you get it clear?
We use some kettle finings. We use like a whirl flock in the kettle on everything, and then we use in the fermenters we use some biofine.
Okay, nice.
We're able to get most of our beers pretty darn clear with the biofine. I mean, this is this was lagering for a while too, so that helps to drop stuff out. But you look at any of the other stuff that we poured, Uncle Bob's Unveiled, and it gets pretty clear. So we're happy
and you
with
kept
that.
the calcium up to help that
Right,
along.
yeah, calcium helps
and that
too.
helps. Yeah,
You use calcium chloride or sulfate or a combination?
Calcium chloride.
In this beer, we'll build water profiles for all the beers that we're brewing though. So we'll add sulfate, chloride, carbonate, depending on
what you're making.
Yeah, depending on what we're making.
Sure.
I'm liking it. It's a good beer. And you chose Saaz hops. I asked Dan Gordon a while back of Gordon Beer Share, hey, what noble hops do you put in a Pilsner? All of them.
And now you know what they are, right?
Yeah,
the
maybe.
game from last week.
Maybe. And what he does actually...
New game. Will you know it next time?
Yeah, exactly.
You remember last week.
Does Justin still not know?
Justin learn a fucking
you
Play that game again.
I mean, clearly that's the point of the game. You could definitely reuse questions.
Same question. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
It should be the same game for 3 times in a row.
Now, he was kind of messing with me, but he was also serious. He literally uses all of them at every part of the boil in his Pilsner. And that's just, it's not really a trick. He likes all of them. So I don't know if it's equal parts or not. I'm not sure about that, but he literally uses every noble hop, I think, for 3 different additions.
You can't go wrong with most of those in that style of beer. There's differences, but they're fairly similar.
Mm-hmm.
I've brewed a Pils on a homebrew scale with all Tettnang, and I really like that. I'd be happy to incorporate that at some point as well. But I think if you look at the similarities between noble hops, they're pretty close in a lot of ways.
Now they certainly work together well, and Saaz to me is the rock star of all of them. So good choice.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. All right, we're going to try another one, I think, before the show's out too. Right? What's our next beer?
Let's see. The farmhouse here, the Nomad.
Ah, there we go. Well, now that's an interesting jump in style. We've gone English and kind of traditional English and a little Pilsner now, and now you're going a little on the wild side.
Yeah. So the Nomad's one of our year-round beers. That's one of the first beers we started brewing. Nomad is an interesting beer because it is probably the most finicky beer that we brew. We use a blend of Belgian yeasts on this one. They don't always cooperate with what we want to do. Sometimes the levels of the different yeast strains will change a little bit. We do make some adjustments to this. So we let this one have a little bit more latitude. And some people actually like that there's a little bit of variation with it. That does get it a little bit more on the wild side. I mean, there's no bread or anything. There's no funky bacteria in there, but it's this beer is really kind of an amalgamation of Belgian yeasts, American hops.
Okay.
There's a touch of coriander in there, but finishes nice and dry. There's spiciness. There's some citrus fruit. Again, we're not fans of the huge clove notes that you get from some of those Belgian yeast strains, so you don't get that so much. And
you blended the yeast yourself. It was your blend.
No. This is actually this is a White Labs blend.
Okay.
It's the 568, which is a Saison blend.
Got it. Okay.
But we will prop that up ourselves, and we'll see some changes to it as we go through.
Sure. Just name it Fickle Bitch.
Oh yeah. Right.
This is an odd mix of dry, but there's still some sweetness there.
So this thing finishes the final gravity on this
06,
something like that. So it finishes pretty darn dry, but it leaves there's still something there. It's not like bone dry.
Yeah. What's the citrus fruit? That's not coming from the hops. You actually put some citrus in there.
No, that's a hop note.
It is.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We originally used Amarillo on this. We're using Cascade on it now.
Okay.
Mostly because we can't get Amarillo. So
yeah. Did that change it a lot?
It changed it a little bit, but a lot of the character comes from the yeast anyway. So
the phenols are adding a lot of character to the beer.
Yes.
What about the temperature of this fermentation? What's your guys' philosophy on that?
Again, we let it we kind of play with this beer a little bit.
Okay.
Well, this is, we kind of like to experiment temperature-wise in this beer. In general, we'll start this, fermentation around 72. A little high. We like a lot of that character from it, but not out of control early on in the fermentation. And then we kind of play around with how far we let it ride.
Got it.
So we'll let it free rise to a certain point, and that we kind of change from time to time just to see, what kind of different character it puts off. So in general, we'll keep it at 72 for a couple days and then kind of shut the jackets off or, set the temperatures to like 80 and kind of let it free rise.
Just let it go.
Yeah, let it go.
Yeah.
I think that's something actually I should say across the board with most of our beers, we're finishing up fermentation at probably a much higher temperature than most people would recommend, at least for initial fermentation. So unlike, I don't know if we're going to get to it, but our IPAs and some of the stuff that we use, like a more straight up American ale yeast on, those things will finish out up at like 75 degrees for the latter third of fermentation maybe. And I started doing this earlier on because I really feel like it helps clean up the beer. It's going to attenuate. Don't have to worry about any diacetyl issues, and it's just I have no scientific backing for this statement, but I feel
sensory
like
you have.
Yeah, but I feel like the metabolism of the yeast too is just sort of natural as it gets going. It wants to warm up. It's a healthier way for it to kind of go through that process, and I really feel that that's part of what gives our beer the clean finish that it has.
Okay, yeah. Now, Tasty, we've talked about that, of course. That's something I learned from you and Chad. I think Chad had started to do it on my homebrew equipment at home, where, yes, control it for the first couple of days, keep it down with some of our pale ales and stuff at like 66. But then literally after 2 days, sometimes 3, just...
Yeah, about 36 hours usually we'll start letting it go.
Yeah, you're halfway to terminal by then.
Okay.
Maybe 3/4 of the way, actually.
And
what little bit of... higher flavors you might get from a warmer ferment are outweighed by the clean ferment that you've already done.
Right. Yeah, I think
and you get that added benefit of better attenuation. And attenuation, to me, is a flavor.
Okay.
Yes.
Something you can rest on and enjoy.
Okay. If I remember right, and usually I don't, but I think Jamil was saying that it's that propagation phase, that first couple of days of your ferment that all the off flavors would come from if you didn't control your temperature.
Yeah, it's during that kind of growth phase.
Phase, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that after that, he said, I don't really worry about it. They're done growing. They don't seem to put out the...
Yeah, let it go.
Okay, yeah. And then I'm just kind of hammering the point home for brewers, too. I like what you're mentioning because the reason you're letting it go is because then it seems happier about cleaning up some of the other byproducts,
Yeah,
right?
You're not constraining it, and especially, if you... With like the Belgian yeast strains, it's even more evident. But if you try and knock the temp down at the wrong time towards the end of fermentation, man, you just shoot yourself in the foot because that thing will not finish out. It won't attenuate. It'll crawl to a halt. Just trust it. Let it go. Let it do its thing. Let it be happy. And I think you're gonna. We found we get good results doing that.
That's another good point. I've made that mistake where I started following this philosophy, go ahead and let the temperature rise. But then still I thought, well, since I let the temperature rise, it probably got things done faster and I crashed it a little too soon. And that's not a good philosophy either, right?
Yeah. The impatient homebrewer strikes again.
Yeah.
All the time.
Let it rise, but let it still, the same schedule is fine. Let it sit there then and do its work.
Yeah, just let it finish out, do its thing.
Yeah.
Let it rise, but let it fall equally.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Just like children.
Yeah.
Let them fall. Learn what it's like to be hurt.
Yeah. Well, this one's another great example. This is a good beer. And how do you put the coriander in there? Because that's a tough one to work with, isn't it?
That goes in the whirlpool, and we bagged that up as well.
You did,
And I think you wouldn't necessarily pick out like a huge coriander flavor from this if you didn't know it was there.
No.
It just supports what's already there. It supports the yeast, the hops, all that other stuff. It's just kind of another note.
I feel like it's very yeast driven.
Absolutely.
I think that Chris White would like to taste his blend at work in it, because that's why he does the blends, right?
Maybe he'll tell me what's actually in the blend.
No, not now that he knows you propagate yourself.
Yeah. That's a good point. I should have kept buying
This is where those vials come in key.
Yeah.
For this beer, not knowing the blend, at this point, we'll just buy 2 homebrew vials and pitch each one of them to about 10 liters of work and make a starter that way and go from there.
Okay, yeah.
Have you tasted the steps to see how the blend changes, if at all?
We'll smell them. We don't tend to taste them because we need most of that stuff to keep propagating. But you can smell a little bit of change, I think. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because as the yeasts that are blended might grow at different rates, it might change.
I've looked at the blend under a microscope to try and figure it out, and you can. I think there's like a 70-30 ratio, something like that. And if I had the time and the inclination, I could probably pull out each of those strains individually and figure out what they are. But you know what? It works as is. So
sure.
Just get the stuff and brew with it.
Did you say what the ABV on this is?
It's about 7.5.
Yeah.
It's well hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, this starts at about 1066, finishes at 06.
So keep it on tap at the house.
Yeah, we'll do events with this, and this goes over well with the ladies sometimes.
Yeah, I bet.
But they'll have a couple of these and then stand up and not realize that they've been drinking a 7.5%.
Doesn't go over well.
Yes.
A few questions came in from the chat for you guys before we run out of time, if you don't mind.
While you're reading these, Jay, I'm going to pass around the last one we're going to do here, which is a barrel-aged creation.
Okay. Let me make some room for you.
What is this, guys? Just real quick.
Yeah, this beer is this version of this is actually called Rare Trousers, which is a barrel-aged version of Flannel Trousers. Flannel Trousers is an English-style old ale. Which is the Flannel Trousers reference is another Uncle Bob tribute. He's a fan of that particular type of legwear. But
who isn't? Let's be honest.
It's comfy. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So this is actually aged in an Eagle Rare bourbon barrel. Hence the name Rare Trousers. And we only got one of these barrels, and we filled it up and we aged it. And
you had me at Eagle Rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
For how long did you age?
This was aged, I believe, 4 to 5 months in the barrel, and then another 5 or 6 months cold conditioning.
Nice.
So again, when we barrel age stuff, we're looking for the barrel to add and enhance the beer, not overwhelm the beer. So we don't want it to taste like you just dumped a shot of bourbon in here. We don't want it to be too boozy. And most of what we do, we do very small amounts of barrel aging just because we don't have the space. But it's very unscientific. It's we put it in the barrel, we taste it. When it's done, it comes out. We find that it cleans up after a little bit of cold conditioning after being in the barrel. Those flavors will really come together and kind of smooth out. But this beer starts out as a very malt driven beer. Lots of like toffee, fruit, those kinds of tones, and then the barrel for this adds to that.
A little vanilla from the barrel.
The vanilla from the barrel, even some of that kind of cherry candy from the barrel as well.
The toffee is awesome.
Beautiful barrel character.
Yeah, and then I think that the barrel's just really complementing that kind of deep toffee flavor. It's awesome.
And I have, what do we have for every one barrel-aged old ale? We have 20 barrel-aged stouts or porters. And they're great, but it's nice to get just a totally different barrel-aged experience than we normally get.
Yeah.
And this style of beer, I think really lends itself to that because it originally it would have been aged in a barrel just because that's what they had. That's what one way or another. It wouldn't have been a bourbon barrel necessarily, but
sure. But it would have been wooden.
Yes.
Like the host of that show.
There will be wood one way or another.
Yes, that's right.
Not to interrupt the question, sorry.
That's okay. It's good beer. I'm glad we got that in a glass.
You didn't crash it in the barrel. You racked it out and then cooled it down?
Racked it into kegs and put it away in a corner of the cold room and let it there's something magical about a keg. I don't know what it is, but it goes in there. It goes into the barrel, and you have these spiky flavor profiles, and it's not. You just know it's not quite done, and it goes into the kegs, and even after a couple of weeks, things just totally start to smooth out, and all those spikes start to come down, and the flavors just come together. I don't understand the
cold
science.
conditioning.
Yeah, it's just cold conditioning.
Yeah.
It's a magical thing.
The Germans were onto something, I guess. I don't know.
I know. It turns out.
Apparently they know what they're doing.
Yeah, so this beer that I brewed a couple weeks ago, we did a nut brown ale, and I tasted it the other day. I've for the first time probably in the history of my life, I hit all the numbers on the beer, so everything's just looking really great. And I tasted it, and the recipe's just a little out of balance. It's a little too little too chocolatey. So I'm getting like a little chocolatey sweet and a little bit of a little too much bitterness.
Did you take the black out
for my taste? Yes, we took the black out. But frankly, and this is maybe the first time I'm kind of being serious about my beer here, I'm really not worried about it at all because it's going to lager from now until we serve it at NHC in June. And it's those flavored, those kind of rough edges that really stick out, like a little too much of the roast and a little too much bitterness, that are exactly the types of things that are going to drop out in my experience.
Yeah, you have all those flavors. They're all there, but it's just the balance of them and like what's what's poking through, and then they all start to smooth out and even out.
Yeah,
and it really kind of rounds out the beer.
So I feel like I mean, still finishing out my conical now, but I'm gonna put in a couple cornies. I'm gonna stick it in the back of my fridge and forget about it until June.
I have confidence,
and I think it's gonna taste
good.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty confident about this one too. I think it's gonna taste good. But yeah, this lagering thing, boy, the Germans knew. All right, couple questions here from the chat room. All right, somebody wants to know if you've made a beer yet that you didn't want to share or sell. Have you had any failed ones like that?
So I made a few beers very early on that should not have been consumed by anyone. The first batch of Uncle Bob's that I did that was supposed to go to our big opening event, I actually dumped. I had to brew another one very quickly because I had used Styrian Golding hops in it that were a little past their prime. They hadn't aged well, and they tainted the beer. It wasn't good.
Okay. Did you know it at the time, like the day you were brewing?
I didn't know not the day that I was brewing. I kept them in the freezer. What it was is I just hadn't been, because I hadn't been in production up until then. I bought a bunch of ingredients. I bought a bunch of hops, and I just kind of been sitting on them in the bag. The bag was open and it was in the freezer, but these things had just kind of deteriorated a little bit too much.
Sure.
And I think it probably maybe most people wouldn't have noticed, but I noticed. So that thing went right down the drain, and it was brutal because I had to, literally we had our big opening event where I needed all these beers to be on and perfect a week or two after that. So I had to get Uncle Bob's brewed again, get it into a cask, get it conditioned, all that stuff, and it ended up being great.
How did you trace the problem back to it being the hops? Was it obvious?
I think if you've smelled old hops, you can kind of pick it up. Initially I was like, something's off with this. What's going on? And I started to taste it, and I started to kind of go back. I'm like, well, this is fine. Then I went back to that bag of hops, and I opened it up, and I stuck my nose in it. I was like, whoa, that's just not great.
Yeah, you could tell.
So that's the story with that.
Okay, so that's one you had to get rid of. Yeah. All right. How about any same listener wanted to know about any brewing disasters? So hot wort, we don't care. Did anybody lose a limb?
Only our egos were bruised. We've had a couple. We did a fresh hop beer, which was really cool. There's a guy who's a friend of ours who's a great brewer. He grows hops now as well. So he grew hops, picked them literally hours before they went into the kettle.
Wow.
Got them right in the kettle. Man, it was we had this whole new beer recipe worked out. It was a great day. We were literally high-fiving each other at the end of the day. Just big, massive whole hops in the kettle. It smelled great. It looked great. We started to try and run this thing out of the kettle, and we just clogged everything.
Just because of the sheer mass of...
It was a nightmare.
We'd never used whole hops in that kettle before.
Okay.
And it ended up at everything that we'd worked for that whole day just was crumbling right before our eyes.
I had a plan, and the plan didn't. So we have a small standpipe to keep the bottom level of beer off the kettle, because when we do the IPAs and stuff, the hops are they're almost right at the drain port, and our kettle is a giant drain port directly in the bottom. So my plan was I had this nice little strainer screen that I dropped over the top of the standpipe. I'm like, this should work out perfectly. No hops will get in. It's plenty of flow. Somehow that came off.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, your zip tie melted. Is probably
there was no zip tie. It just dropped on the top of the standpipe.
You were trusting gravity to hold this on. This may be the issue.
So at what point did something go wrong? I don't understand. So far, it sounds like a homebrew. It's great.
Are you direct fired, or are you
direct fired?
Yeah, direct
all right,
fired.
So you probably had boiling going on in that standpipe.
It was probably just enough movement to like push that thing
Yeah,
off.
it's more like a concentrator inside.
So how'd you get it out? The word out?
Well,
it's still in there.
We scooped it up. We scooped it out.
We got rid of that kettle.
Yeah. So
how are you going to do it next time?
We tried a couple things. Like we literally were like, let's put some kind of screen over, between a gasket and clamp it on there. Like I remember poking holes in tinfoil and like sticking it like in between a gasket to see if we could strain the stuff out. Everything was
It's like making a hash pipe out of foil.
You got to do what you got to do.
Somebody went to college.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
So, but what ended up actually working was we have a whirlpool port that's about a third of the way up the kettle. We put an elbow in there and open that valve and let gravity feed the wort down through one of the screens for our false bottom or our mash tun, which was over the top of a kettle or a keg kettle, basically a keg with the top cut off.
Right.
So we're basically making a grant out of this thing, but the hops would plop down on that screen, get strained out. The wort went into the keg kettle, and then we pumped out of that and into the fermenter.
Got it. How long did this knockout take?
A long time.
Let's just say that beer ended up with a little more utilization than we were expecting.
Yeah. Right. How was the finished product?
It was
actually
really nice.
came out pretty darn good.
Good.
Yeah.
I like it. As much as we like disasters, I do like a happy ending.
It was definitely saved.
Yeah. Excellent.
Other than making sure your hop blocker stays in place, have you consider doing it another way? Like, a lot of the guys out here will go back into the mash tun and treat it as a hop back sort of thing.
That's actually was my plan, is to use the mash tun as a hop back the next time we do this.
Cool.
So that means you basically just sort of process the wort through the mash tun?
Yeah, just fill the thing up with hops. And
just fill it up with hops and run the wort over the top of them.
Got it. Yeah. And then take it right out the bottom like
you
you would mash.
You have to have some way to just strain that stuff out. Yeah.
I see. Okay. All right.
It's just too much hops to bag up. I think it was 18 pounds of whole cone hops.
A lot of hops.
In a 7-barrel batch.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's so funny. I have to, take a moment and reflect on what it must be like to actually be in the brew house experiencing these disasters. Because I haven't brewed enough to really experience one of these yet. But we sit here on the show and we hear home brewers and pro brewers talk about fermenters falling on people and gaskets exploding and things being clogged. And I just love it. It's delightful because great content. I know it's good
but
stuff.
But it sucks for them.
But it must have and now I'm just trying to picture what it must have been like to just for 9 hours. Just, man.
Oh, yeah. We were like, that was like the biggest up and down because we were like riding high. We're like, this is great.
Right.
Making this beer. It's awesome. It's going up.
Swings.
And then crashing down.
Yes. Well, everyone keep screwing up out there, please.
When that first hop
content.
goes through the sight glass, the whole world came crashing.
Yeah. By the way, I met the brewer in Texas who had the explosion, the whole year-long lawsuit and all that.
Oh, no way.
Where the fermenter exploded, the manway. We talked to
and it went through the wall?
Yeah, it went through the office wall. And in fact, the brewer I met got injured. God, what's the brewery name? I'm a dummy because I talked to him for a few minutes. Nice guy. Great beer, too. A lot of German-style beer, actually. They have a German owner and just mostly German beer. And, so that was one of the best disasters that has been talked about on the program here.
Was it McKinney or the brewery out of McKinney?
Franconia.
Thank you. Franconia Brewery. And, imagine that disaster.
There was even a tour going on, I think, when that happened.
Well, that's where the lawsuit came in because the person suing was on the tour, not the person whose office the man went through.
So this is, again, where I go like, oh, this is good radio. And then I have to be like, oh, these are actually people that are having a terrible go of it.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, and then there was just a comment. I think this one must be meant for me. Someone wanted me to not feel so bad about my carpet porter years ago.
Timely reference.
We're still bringing that up.
Yeah. Thomas Cotton wrote in, I just pumped 5 gallons of Imperial Stout out of the bottom of my kegerator. I haven't even tapped it yet.
Oh.
Hadn't even tapped it yet.
Get a glass.
He did. He just didn't realize it.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's saying, I'm sorry for laughing at you for your carpet porter. Thank you.
Karma.
Finally.
Vindication.
Yeah. Finally. All right. Well, I got to take a quick break, and then we got some beer news and some other stuff to do. But you guys are welcome to just hang out with us if you want.
For sure.
We don't have anything all that official going on, just a few more things. And then maybe we can try some more of your beer while we're at it.
That sounds great.
All right, so let's do that. We'll take a quick break. Feedback, beer news, Twitter game, all sorts of fun stuff coming up. Hang in there. It's The Session, live from the Hop Grenade in Concord, California. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
If you don't know Yeastman, you're missing out. White Labs Yeast Manager, Yeastman, is available free to any brewer. Yeastman is your direct link to White Labs' yeast production facility. Yes, you can check yeast availability, and yes, you can place an order, but Yeastman is much more. View yeast quality control and analytical reports. See your big QC Day entries and reports. Get access to the entire White Labs catalog, specials on overruns of freshly made yeast, and customized options for your account. Yeastman is the only real-time online ordering in the business connected directly to factory production. Yeastman is always on and always live. It's the largest online marketplace for specialty brewers' yeast and related products. Visit yeastman.com today and tap directly into White Labs production facility. Gonna brew? Yeastman to the rescue.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious. Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today. Adventures in Homebrewing have the knowledge and expertise to craft their own gear and original recipes. Some of the things homebrewing.org creates and manufactures in-house are the Brutus brew stands and propane burners, the Serial Killer adjustable 2-roller grain mill with 7-pound hopper, custom stainless steel false bottoms designed to fit kegels, coolers, and mini-sized brew pots. The brewers at Adventures in Homebrewing have designed a huge selection of original recipes for extract and all-grain brewing. Adventures in Homebrewing original recipes are tried and tested, proven to be of the best quality. And right now, Adventures in Homebrewing is shipping 24 of their best recipes for free. Visit homebrewing.org for the most current selection. Once you try one of Adventures in Homebrewing recipes, you'll keep coming back for more. And now, it's even easier with free shipping on these kits. Brewing Network listeners receive 10% off their homebrewing.org orders when they use coupon code IPA at checkout. See terms and conditions for full details.
You're listening to the Brewing Network. Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the program. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got just a few things left to do. And don't forget about the folks over at Adam and Eve, making you less creepy.
Sort of.
For decades.
Yeah. It's just keeping you inside.
That's what I meant. Yeah, making you look less creepy to the world.
Right.
That's right, adamandeve.com. JP, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are you getting enough?
No.
God, I hate this one.
But in her defense, I'm not giving enough either. So
Okay, good point.
Thank you.
So you'd like more, right?
I would love more.
Well, adamandeve.com wants to give you more.
From a website? How do I get more? Justin, explain.
Well, how about 10 free gifts?
Shit, that's a lot.
First, you're going to get a sexy surprise for her.
Right.
Any her, I guess.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, you're not married yet.
No.
Second, a specially selected toy for him.
For any him?
Yeah, pick whoever you want. I don't take Beardy home for all I care. And then finally, a little something that you and Beardy will both enjoy. Plus 6 full-length adult movies on DVD.
And when you say full length, is that because I have a small penis?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? Or
so they're giving you full-length DVDs.
Oh. Rubbing it in?
And then your 10th gift on all that, you get free shipping on your entire order. All you have to do is go to adamandeve.com and use coupon code BNARMY at checkout. That's BNARMY. It's right there on our studio door, folks in the bar. If you want to use the code, it's coupon code BNARMY. Go to adamandeve.com right now. Support our wonderful sponsors.
Go on, do it.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a little feedback, and then we'll get into some beer news. Feedback is pretty interesting today. Had some good stuff, huh, Jip?
Yeah, not bad.
Good stuff come through.
Yeah.
All right, Ben writes in, hey, BN crew, I've been an avid listener for a couple years now. I have an iPod that's filled with only BN shows. Started homebrewing 5 years ago. And a little bit after, I joined the U.S. Air Force, and I've been listening to the BN every brew day since. I'm currently deployed right now and really missing nice cold homebrew. But I listen to your shows every day. When I listen to you guys bullshit and talk about beer on the session, I forget about being out here, and I feel like I'm home again, which is a really hard thing to do. Listening to you guys is truly making this deployment go by faster, and I appreciate everything you do. It would be really effing awesome if you guys could put together a care package and send it out here, even if it's something simple with all your signatures. I would love to add it to my brew house once I get home. Thanks for everything, from Ben. Ben, I think we could make that happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
First of all.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could probably take that sign down off the wall or
just send
get
him
another
that.
one printed and sign it all.
I think I might have one around somewhere. I can send him a BN Army sign. But I don't know that he sent his address. Do I just send it to Ben at U.S. Air Force?
Yeah, that's all you do.
Right.
There's only, I have his email.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
His email address.
Yeah, he did not send his address, so if we were going to do it, I was going to email him back and ask for his address.
Ben, email Bevo.
Yeah, or JP sent his email address over to Bevo.
Yeah, sure.
And then we'll
or
get
I
you
could
something.
just email him.
Or we could just send the sign to his email address.
Right.
I was trying to take a picture. Make it easy on you, Jip.
No, I could. No, it's fine.
Well, you'll just send Bevo the email.
I'll do that.
Then you'll just be a middle. She's going to ship it anyway. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, why doesn't Bevo...
Now is the best time to work this out.
Wait,
For
no.
the love of God.
Hold on.
You guys are retarded.
I like Beardy's idea of just sending the gift to the email address.
Right.
Yeah. Here you go.
We'll package it real nice.
Yeah. Just mail it there.
It's a photo of all of our phones.
All right.
I don't know. It's being creative. Don't crush my creativity, Beverly.
Terrible.
All right,
Whatever.
I don't know who this one's from, but it's titled, I Need a Grieve Job Badly.
A lot of timely references going on in this show.
Wow.
What does that mean?
For those of you who don't know what a grieve job is when
Let's see if you can remember.
Somebody gives you a handy that is lubricated by your own tears.
Right.
So it's usually done after somebody dies.
Yeah, very
and
sad
then,
things.
other people have like grieving, whatever. But sometimes just a grieve job will do the trick.
Right.
And then your own
Did we coin that phrase?
Yes, we did.
Long ago.
What's wrong with you people?
I don't
Wasn't
know.
that after Schumann's dad died?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
died, yeah.
worse.
That's the level of friendship.
It was after.
that is here.
Yeah. Both of our
Big
dads.
Roger died, yeah.
All right, so titled I Need a Grieve Job Badly starts, Welp, this is Captain Scotch from the forum, and I buried my pops today, and I'm drunk already. It's only been a few months for me since I heard you and Schumann going through it, so that shit helped me a lot the last 3 or 4 days. Thankfully, I have a spare dad, too, but I don't think he'll ever replace the awesome douchebag I just dumped in the ground. and that's all he wrote.
It makes it sound like he just got out of the truck,
Right, yeah.
lowered the tailgate, and then got back in and hit the gas.
Yeah.
While weeping, bye, you awesome douchebag.
Yeah.
That's the way he
just-
would have wanted to go out.
Pretty much about how Schumann did. I mean, I think Schumann shot his dad out of a potato gun or something afterward. So
I think this guy took a page out of your book.
Yeah.
And how to grieve.
Hey, glad we could help, man. That's very nice of you to write that in. I'm sorry about your dad. All right, someone else writes in. No names here. I'll keep this short. This is just more Nicole feedback. I don't need to read all that anymore.
You didn't read it the first time.
Or the second time.
Yeah. Third time?
We get the point, everybody. Thanks for writing in.
All right. Well, they want to know that you
We
know.
get the point, everybody. Let's leave it alone. All right, David writes in, hey, Brewcasters, I recently entered my first 2 competitions with the same batch of German Pilsner. In the first competition, 3 months after brew day, I scored a 38 and took first place. In the second competition, 4 weeks later, I scored a 30, and there were differences in the feedback, particularly around the level of bitterness. In the first instance, the piece of feedback read, drier in the finish with lingering bitterness, starts to become unpleasant. From the later set of judges, more sweet than bitter on balance, needs to be crisper, have more bitterness and flavor from the hops. If I compare my tasting notes from when I first tapped the keg to when I drained it, about 4 months lag, I too noticed the shift from bitter to sweet. My surprise is how dramatic a shift in bitterness took place, and I would like to know your thoughts on how I might have been able to preserve it for the second competition. Tasty?
Good answer.
Yes. Well, he didn't say how much time was between the two, right?
He did.
He did.
Oh, he did.
A month? Yeah. Between the one competition and the next, yeah.
I call the first editions the permanent bitterness, and the late editions, I call that temporary bitterness. So I would increase the amount of first edition hops, like the 60 or the 90-minute, whatever he's doing.
Of course, then it wouldn't have tasted as good in the first competition, right? It would have been out of balance.
Well, no, you could still. I generally do half and half. Half the IBUs at 60, and then the other half like 20 or later, but more typically 10 and later, or even 5 and later, or the rest at 0.
Okay,
but yeah, because to me that's the late editions that drop out quicker over time.
Got it.
I think one of the other things about that, too, is you get some perceived bitterness that might not actually be IBU bitterness that can kind of fall off depending on where your hops are going or what you're doing with the beer. So you might want to kind of think about that total balance a little bit.
Okay.
And beer doesn't last forever.
And this is part of what we were just talking about, too, with just the lagering process. Some things are just going to drop out.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah, and for instance, if the beer's not totally clear in the beginning, well, the bitterness will attach to what's not, the haze that's in there.
Yeah, you can
and
have
as that drops
schmeg
out over time
in the keg.
Then you'll lose the bitterness.
Okay. Well, that's a good point.
Also, don't take whatever a beer judge tells you as gospel.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I've had some notoriously terrible score sheets before from people who just honestly don't know the difference between bitterness and sweetness. It's insane. But
don't just take that anecdotal stuff as you're doing something wrong. Send it out to multiple competitions and take the average of the feedback and then do some corrections.
Get a second opinion.
Yeah.
And well, he said he also did notice it himself when he got to the bottom of the keg.
Yeah, sure, but it could be just, he's being influenced by the score sheets, or, a lot of people try to learn from the score sheets, and while they're not perfect, there's some room that you can definitely get a second or even a third opinion for sure.
Okay. All right, Jordan in Australia writes in, Dear JP and friends.
Yeah. What do you know? Rename the show.
You've that's a good name for the show, actually. You've probably already answered this, and I feel a little rapey even asking.
Just a little.
Can I watch you?
But is there a way of downloading Sugar Valley Brewers Sugar Valley Brewers tracks?
That should be on Adam and Eve.
Sugar's Valley. That's a category.
It's funny he brings up the guest tonight. We were texting in the afternoon. They were like, "Yeah, we're on our way." They had been in Santa Rosa at Russian River, and they said we're just stopping along the way to pick up Sugar Valley Brewer. He's coming in to watch the show tonight. And for a second, I was like, wow, I was about to call Bevo and be like, hey, I'd maybe have Susie come in.
Wear something sexy.
Yeah, it's a dress-up show tonight. I don't know if I told you.
Excuse me, I am dressed sexy. Yeah. This is as sexy as it gets.
But yeah, they did send a JK message after that, but you had me going there for a second.
And by the way, not funny.
All right, so I want to know if there's a way to download the tracks. Each time I roll up after work finishing a BN episode, I end up with the delightful JP's an Asshole number on infinite loop in my head. And damn it if it doesn't start off my day right. So any direction is appreciated. No, there is currently no place to download the Sugar Valley Brewer songs. That is all. Okay. There's another one for Nicole.
Doesn't have his own Pandora station, huh?
Right. Here's one from Sean. I know I'm late, but the Tioga Sequoia episode was hilarious. The game at the end was an amazing new game. Also, I think Beardy is a good addition to the show. Keep it up, guys. From Sean. Damn it, Beardy! There you go. Captain Obvious writes in.
You probably already know this.
Yeah.
But the internet is great.
Right, yeah.
Actually, that's another one about Nicole. And
when are you just going to read it? Just give in.
And then finally, sent from the incognito tab in my Chrome browser, writes in.
Look, if you don't leave your name and that's your sign off, that's your name. Sorry.
Dear Justin. Is this one okay to read here, too? Oh, yeah.
He did send it from the incognito.
It must be fine. You may not know everything about brewing, but I'm confident you can help me with this craft beer industry-related question. In 3 weeks' time, I'll be in Portland for the 2015 Craft Brewers Conference. I'm seeking your guidance in 1, finding the best strip clubs, and 2, having the best possible strip club experience in Portland. Thank you. So this is something I can help with.
Industry-related.
Yes, very industry-related. When you go to the Craft Brewers Conference, I recommend that you check in, you get your badge, then you go sit at Sassy's for the next 3 days. As I've mentioned before, Sassy's is more than just a strip club. It's a little slice of heaven on earth. It's more like a beer bar, like a great beer bar. They have a lot of beers on tap. You don't have to pay a cover charge. The beers are not more expensive than they are in the normal bar. There just happens to be fully naked, tattooed women dancing in the corner and the side. And in the back.
And in the middle of the room.
And in the middle of the room as well. And so you will not have a better strip club experience as a beer fan than you will have at Sassy's. Now, that being said, there are also other clubs that serve great beer, but in my experience, Sassy's is the best. Now, the way to have your best experience when you get to Sassy's, keep this in mind. Portland strippers have a lot of attitude. They don't give a shit about you.
No.
What?
Oh, yeah. Don't talk.
Contrary to other strippers.
Yeah. That's right. Other strippers, I don't know if they have to work harder for their money or what, but do not comment on their tattoos. Do not show them your tattoo. They don't care about your tattoo.
No.
They will just, unless, of course, you're the type of person who likes being treated like shit, then
go to the Tornado.
Then
I have changed my vacation plans.
Then don't listen to any of this advice that I'm giving. They're great. They will smile at you. I would tip in 20s and not 1s to begin with, and then you will have a much better experience.
To begin with?
No wonder you're broke.
When do you drop from the 20 to the 1?
Once she starts smiling. Once the smiling happens, then it's fine to go down to a 5 and then some 1s later on.
Because like the organic toothpaste doesn't quite get all the cavities. And it's kind of...
Yeah, I'm telling you, just given he wants the best experience, I'm telling him what it is. So yeah, when you first sit down, I just drop a 20 on your favorite one, and then you can hang out for a little while. That's about it.
The most precise piece of information
so articulate.
I have ever heard you give on this show.
Those people at Blue Bonnet
my
are real
friend,
disappointed.
Need to look into a career change.
And go to what?
I'm going to be there. I'm going to use that information.
Podcast strippers.
I'm going to start. Yeah,
I'm going to try 30 though. I think I'll need to do 30. I don't know how much else going.
Yeah, just go for it, Tasty. Listen, it'll pay back tenfold. You're going to get a lot of attention, and a lot less attitude. Again, though, if you like a little attitude, show them your tattoos.
Are you speaking from personal experience?
Well,
most definitely.
I had gone in with a friend of mine who had just gotten a new tattoo, and he was pretty excited about it. So I was drunk, and we sat down, and I said, this girl came, she had great tattoos, stripper, and I was like, hey, my friend here she had a lot of them, so I thought, he just joined the tattoo club, right? Like,
it's
my
fun.
friend
They
here,
should be friends.
my friend here just got his first tattoo. It was, perfectly innocent statement.
Yeah.
She looked at us both like we were the stupidest douchebags on the planet. Like, she didn't even smile. She just she looked down at his new tattoo, looked up at us both, gave us a dirty look, and walked away. It was the weirdest, and I was like, all right, I guess we're not cool enough for Portland tattoos yet.
No.
Stripper girl.
You didn't smell enough. You didn't smell bad enough.
Yeah.
Did you write that on your fixed gear? Maybe she knew that.
And then I made other comments just about tattoos on the strippers to them, and it's not all bad, but in general, it's just bad etiquette. I've found out they'd rather you just not talk about it.
Well, they don't want to be there as an object of art. Right. They'd rather you objectify their body. So
something I don't know. I will say that I saw the best stripper I've ever seen at Sassy's. She was very tall. She had 2 revolvers tattooed to her pelvis, both pointing into her.
Sure, I think I've seen all her films.
And Sassy's has a stripper pole that goes up like to the second floor, although there's not a second floor, so it just goes into like the attic or something.
The office.
It's like it's a weird like 15-foot pole, and this woman could. I mean, she came down all 15 feet upside down, spinning furiously, stopped herself with no hands.
Jesus.
Like 6 inches from the ground.
Like Chun-Li from Street Fighter 2's upside down.
Yes. And then stopped herself with her legs only. She was the Cirque du Soleil of strippers. And
do they just get the worst rug burn from stopping like that?
No, she was perfect. No. She had also pre-sanitized the pole before using it, which I found very healthy.
I do think Bevo's onto something with your career change because you were articulate and engaging during that.
I haven't seen that in years.
I just want to point out that there is Strip Club Radio, a podcast hosted by Tim Rhodes. So maybe it needs a new host. They do shows such as We Married Strippers, 6 ex-stripper wives between Tim, Glenn, and Dane. Listen to their stories about why none of the marriages worked out and why you should not date or marry strippers. That's a show you could host.
I am downloading that show. I'll tell you that right now. And I should, because then I could travel around. I mean, I've seen breweries before. I know. I get new things to go to.
Here's another episode.
Imagine how much more fun the conventions are too.
Sure.
This episode is Millennials Don't Tip. Young people are the worst tippers. Why?
True.
We discuss on today's Strip Club Radio.
Yeah, because they're douchebags. They have a sense of entitlement, and you got to drop down a 20 every now and then. Just get taken care of. At a place like, think about it this way too. Do the math. Any other strip club on earth, you're going to drop a 40 just to walk in the door, and you're going to pay then double the amount for a good beer, and it's not even going to be a good beer than you do a normal beer. At Sassy's, there's no cover charge. The beer's the same price. So just pay that to the people who are naked.
Well, you don't tip on the internet, so I think it sets up a bad precedent.
Right.
They have to pay those medical bills.
Are bad.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're all going through med school and
Tuition's
things like
a bitch,
that.
man.
So, yeah, absolutely. All right. So there you go. I hope you have a good time in Portland. I won't be there this year, unfortunately. But Sassy's always has a place in my high cholesterol heart. All right, spam of the week. Let's do this. Hello, baby.
Hi.
Oh, good start.
Somebody I know.
It's Dinara here.
Oh.
I'm from Krasnodar, Russia. The people here, especially the women, one word, are much more warm or even hot, just like predominant climate we have.
In Russia is known for its warm climate.
Yakov Smirnov writing this?
Of course, the most beautiful girls on our planet are in Russia! Exclamation points. Okay,
right.
Okay, majority of the beautiful girls of our planet. Well, that should be agreeable, I think. All right, I agree. You've convinced me.
All right.
Do you want to find them? I can tell you how.
Well, they're in Russia.
Please,
you already told me, idiot.
They're in Krasnodar.
Yeah.
I can tell you how. Please join this site where I have enrolled myself, and so are thousands of those beauties, which we just now mentioned above. This premium online dating website provides you with anonymity. How does she know anonymity? Convenience and freedom of choice, along with a wide range of communication methods. One word, again. You got to see the writing on this one. Don't sit bored in your solitude and waste your time. Well, she doesn't have to go getting rude now. It's offensive.
You don't know me.
Yeah, when I'm solitary, I have a lot of shit to do.
Yeah.
Instead, believe in your destiny and join me at this site. Come on, click here.
You're destined to find a Russian girl.
In Russia.
Who uses... My favorite part is they're using climate change to sell you on dating women in Russia.
No, she said
the tropical hotspot.
Yeah, that is Siberia.
Yeah, right.
It's only getting warmer. Come claim land now.
Right. Did you click on the site, JP?
I did not click on the site because I value using my computer.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
I'll forward it to you.
All right. Feedback was brought to you today by our good friend John over at Beer Law Center. He protects our trademark, and he can do the same for you. Go to beerlawcenter.com, and John will take some good care of you. All right. Should we do some beer news?
Sure.
Am I supposed to play something?
No.
All right. Let's do beer news. What do we have?
Well, we have one of my favorite stories in months, maybe my favorite story ever. The U.S. Court of Appeals has ruled that the Michigan Liquor Control Commissioners are to be held accountable for violating Flying Dog Brewery's First Amendment rights related to the 2009 ban of the sale of Raging Bitch in the state. I can't remember if we covered this when Flying Dog was on. I think we did.
Yeah.
The commission had deemed that the Raging Bitch label was, quote, detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the general public, end quote, and it banned the beer in Michigan. In Flying Dog's view, that was state censorship and a clear violation of its First Amendment rights. Here's a quote from Jim Caruso, Flying Dog's CEO. This ruling is invigorating. It's taken a few years, but now appointed bureaucrats are accountable for imposing their personal agendas and prejudices on the public and for committing the crime of violating Flying Dog's right to freedom of speech. This is refreshing, and I hope this federal court's ruling benefits breweries, wineries, and distilleries in other states as well. Here's another quote from Flying Dog's attorney, Alan Gura. Let this be another lesson to the politically correct crowd. There's no free ride for violating Americans' free speech rights. In 21st century America, officials cannot ban words, artwork, and poetry they dislike. Illegal censorship causes real harm, and Michigan's liquor commissioners will now be made to pay real money for the damage they've done. The ruling will allow Flying Dog to recover damages from the loss of sales during the ban retroactively.
Wow. How much is that?
Who knows? I don't know how they're going to calculate it, and this is a pretty new decision, so I don't know how it's going to pan out financially for Flying Dog, but it's definitely a big statement to future state controllers who wish to decide what to and not to allow.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Good for them. What a win.
Yeah, it took me how many years? So this is September 2009 was when Flying Dog first requested approval to register Raging Bitch in the state. Now here we are 6 years and change later, finally been fixed.
Wow.
A lot of people may not realize the Raging Bitch was, of course, a dog, about a dog, not a person.
Yes, it was. And in fact, it was clear on the label that it was a dog. Yeah. It was also a piece of art on the label.
Right, it wasn't even like a dog that looked like it was in heat or something like that.
No, it was
like a dog just like LSD or something.
Right, yeah. It definitely looked like it was on LSD. I felt like that when I was on LSD yesterday.
Well, if you live in Michigan, you can look for Flying Dog's Raging Bitch on the shelves, I guess now. I think it's reversed immediately.
Your tax dollars will be going to Maryland.
Yeah, they need you to buy it now.
Yeah, right.
Maryland will be pushing it.
Right.
Come to Maryland, buy Raging Bitch.
Well, congratulations, Flying Dog. It's a huge decision.
Yeah.
So now on to Oregon's Full Sail Brewing. That's an employee-owned company, Full Sail is. They have agreed to be acquired by Encore Consumer Capital, which is a San Francisco-based investment firm. This is a particularly interesting acquisition story for a couple of reasons, I think. First, Full Sail is owned by the employees, like I just mentioned, by virtue of an ESOP, an employee stock ownership program. So it was the employee's decision. Second, it wasn't AB or some other brewery seeking to acquire Full Sail. It was an investment group with no ties to the beer industry. So the name of the company that bought Full Sail, it's like a spinoff of this investment group, Oregon Craft Brewers Company, it's called. It's described as a company comprised of a group of, quote, local Oregon investors, end quote, and Encore Consumer Capital. Details about the investors and all the financial nitty-gritty, it's confidential, so nobody really even knows what it means. And, of course, forming a company called Oregon Craft Brewers certainly helps make an otherwise unsavory takeover sound more palatable.
Yeah.
And certainly to the employees, they were trying to sell on the whole thing, right?
But it was just an investment firm, is what we're saying.
Yeah, okay. And interestingly, this investment firm has a track record of purchasing companies and then selling them to large players in related industries.
Oh.
So, for example, they acquired Adele's Sausage for $37 million back in 2007, and then they sold it to Sara Lee in 2011, 4 years later, for $87 million. So they were flipping businesses, basically.
Wow.
So what's in store for Full Sail? Are they going to get the brewery's ducks in a row and then sell it to AB or Miller Coors? Who knows? For now, Full Sail employees get a payout and they retain their jobs.
Nice.
But they lose all the ownership that they have.
Yes.
Right. Hopefully it was worth it.
Well, they had to have a majority consensus, and they agreed to it.
Did we get any dollar numbers? I'm really curious.
No, that hasn't come out yet. It's being kept confidential right now.
Guy packaging's a millionaire now. Is it?
Well, and that's certainly a possibility. I mean, depending on how much of the company you owned as an employee, that's how you get paid out. That is kind of the beauty of at that point in ESOP. However, it could also work that if there are enough shares and they're spread out enough that nobody does all that great. But Full Sail's not all that enormous, are they?
No, but I know they definitely wanted the employees to have this benefit should it ever
happen.
arise.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're quite pleased the fact that.
I'm sure they are. And so I would be curious now if it ends up getting sold to AB or something like that.
Well, who are you going to package it for? Somebody else?
In a few years.
That's so much bigger. I mean.
Well, they might buy a couple breweries and then sell it as a package deal
together
to maybe AB or something.
Interesting. All right, good one.
A couple more from Oregon to Ohio. A fight over sewer usage is causing a big stink for Cincinnati area brewers and could mean dire consequences for at least one of the local breweries there. The breweries say the Metropolitan Sewer District plans to implement substantial new charges that will have a big impact on their bottom line, and the whole thing came completely without warning, allegedly. The sewer district said in a letter they sent all these breweries that they are in the process of evaluating whether the breweries are in compliance with the county's wastewater regulations, and they're facing new surcharges if they're not in compliance. So sewer district spokeswoman Cassandra Hillary said that 18 different breweries had been sent these letters so far. She said that since January 1 of last year, 2014, 8 breweries had been inspected, and more inspections will be performed this year. Breweries are stating that the sewer district isn't able to provide data on the effluent levels they're sending into the sewers. That, in other words, the city doesn't have a good way to do any measurement. They're just going off industry data and estimating what they think the breweries are discharging and then charging them accordingly.
Yeah.
The city's largest brewery is Sam Adams, and they apparently have been paying these surcharges for a long time. Anyone want to guess what their sewer fees alone were in 2013?
I couldn't even imagine.
For Sam Adams?
Yeah.
$500,000?
$70.
$2 million.
$2 million.
In sewer charges.
Wow.
Big chunk of change. And, maybe more costs in store for Ohio breweries. I hope not.
It's interesting because I've heard this come up before talking to other breweries, and usually, at least in what I've heard, the city actually errs on the side of the brewery. In other words, it's like the breweries don't know how to estimate what they're dumping to. And if they just sort of look at the volume, and I don't know if it was Russian River or somebody like that I was talking to, not an enormous brewery, right? But something like putting in a 15 or a 30-barrel system. The city kind of looks at it and goes, all right, we do have to figure out what's going down this drain, but tends to err on the side of the brewers and go, well, you're not that big, so don't worry about it. Now, the Sam Adams brewery that's there is probably an enormous, 500-barrel brewery maybe coming out of there. There should certainly be some fees. You're just dumping that into the same water system that you and I use, and there should be some, like a scale of what I pay and what you pay when you're dumping all that beer down, right?
Yeah, I've heard numbers like, one brewery is like 10,000 households of solid waste or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, an average size brewery.
But it certainly needs to be. Now, I don't agree that it should be done willy-nilly, though. I think it should be quantified and figured out. However, that, I think right now might end up hurting more breweries in this country than it would helping. But that's just my very limited experience.
And I've also heard of cities that
waste.
are like, give us all the yeast you can, because it really helps in our system.
Oh, right.
To degrade
They
stuff.
dump that stuff in there, yeah.
Oh, because the yeast eats some of the contaminants?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But it can also cause ecological imbalances, like depending on what their treatment facility uses.
Yeah.
That's what
If
else
you
we're
throw in
getting.
a bunch of yeast, that could mess up their whole system and make it worse.
Yeah.
But in Fairfield, the city actually brought out a little sampler that every few minutes took a sample from the drain at Heretic.
Yeah.
And they did that a couple days and then used that to kind of estimate what the impact of Heretic on the sewer system was.
Weird
for the city
data.
of Fairfield.
They got
They
data.
actually, it was weird. They came out and actually wanted to learn specifically what we sent down the drain.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally reasonable for the wastewater treat. You're dumping a lot more, like Casey said, it's 10,000 houses for one brewery. Then it stands to reason you should be paying more. No doubt about it. I think their thing is we just want to know. How are you charging us? And it was also a very large increase all at once. Like it was like, our bills went up 5 times in March what it was in February. And how do you prepare for that as a business where your lines are razor thin anyway?
And if they didn't note a specific problem, it sounds more like, hey, this industry's growing. I bet we can get some more dollars out of it.
Which it doesn't sound like it's totally malicious like that. Because like I said, they're dumping more. They pay more. That's fine. I think they just want to be precise about it.
Yeah.
Steve, how is that in your area in terms of do you have to deal with the solids and stuff like that?
So, what we found was that, the sewer system where we are, it's got some issues because it's older, some of the parts of it, and especially some of the we're in a more industrial area, so the sewer system's a little bit newer. But downtown, they've been having a lot of issues with clogs and with things, and they started mandating grease traps for a lot of businesses. And when you have an infrastructure that is starting to fall apart and fail, you got to look for the revenue somewhere to help fix that. And if you're looking at someone who's using a lot of water, who's dumping a lot of stuff down the drain, it's a pretty easy target. But you got to look at the reality of what's actually going down the drain and how that's impacting things. And for us, we actually had to do some education and say, because they wanted us to put in a grease trap at the brewery.
Oh yeah,
which there's. You're gonna make more grease, cooking bacon at home than we're gonna make in our process of brewing. So we had to kind of educate them on how that worked and why that wasn't appropriate for us. But it's definitely an issue because we're all using that stuff, and as soon as there's an issue, and if you caused it, when it's something like a sewer system, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, let's do one more. The statistic of the week on this week's beer news: 40% of Americans can't spell Budweiser. That's not news that Americans can't spell good. That's more and more prevalent by the day, it seems like. But this is according to a Bartender. With no E, just bar, TNDR. That's an app. It lets users share information about their favorite bars. The app's technical team tracked some 100,000 recent postings and found a ton of misspellings. And in fully 42% of the posts in which Budweiser was used, it was spelled wrong.
Well, maybe Siri can't spell Budweiser. That could be the problem.
I can't spell Sierra when I'm drunk.
That's true. Yeah, they're using the app drunk. It's a good point. All right, well, that's the news brought to you by Strip Club Radio, where you can hear episodes like plastic surgery is not a new thing to strippers in our clubs, but a new procedure is taking over. Find out what it is on today's Strip Club Radio.
Oh, I am intrigued. Who is Strip Club's radio demographic? Is it me or is it strippers, I wonder? Who is listening?
I can't imagine strippers downloading podcasts.
I don't think strippers are trying to learn more about
I don't think so.
craft.
Yeah, it's you.
Leg spin techniques for the advanced stripper.
Hey, I would disagree. I have seen some techniques that required study.
But I think that's natural talent on their part.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, you got to have the right skin to stop on a pole when you're sliding from the second story.
Yeah, you do. All right, we're going to take a very quick break, a very short one. It looks like I got a couple of drunk people calling in, so that's interesting.
Oh, we have drunk voicemails, too.
We do?
Yeah.
All right, then we'll do our first drunk of the week in a long, long time when we come back. Hang in there. It's The Session. Just give us a couple minutes here.
listening to the Brewcasters.
Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
The National Homebrew Conference is coming up this summer, and More Beer wants to send you. To celebrate 20 years of serving homebrewers, More Beer is giving away 2 full pass registrations to the 2015 National Homebrew Conference, June 10th through 13th. That's right, 2 full passes, full access to all the presentations, club night, and pro brewers night, 2 seats to the grand banquet and awards ceremony, 2 one-year membership gift cards to the American Homebrewers Association, 4-night stay at the beautiful Town and Country Resort, round-trip airfare to and from the San Diego airport, 2 VIP passes to the Brewing Network's own anniversary party, a $250 prepaid Visa gift card for food and your other expenses, and dinner with the More Beer crew. Visit morebeer.com for all the details and to enter. You can enter once a day through April 15th, and the winner will be drawn on April 25th. If you've already purchased your registration to the event and seats to the grand banquet, those fees can be refunded. Enter today at morebeer.com. Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on 2 gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy.
What'd you get? More brewing ingredients?
Yep. You know what I love about Brewmaster's Warehouse?
The $6.99 shipping?
Well, yeah, but...
Oh, the in-store classes for beginning brewers.
Yeah, that's cool, but...
Oh, the Brew Builder. Creating and saving your recipes online is awesome!
No, I mean, yes, but...
The cheese-making supplies.
No.
Oh, the wine-making supplies. Oh, the distilling equipment and liquor flavorings.
All that stuff is awesome, yes, but what I really love is that the guy who runs it is totally hot. And that Brew Builder software is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Brewmaster's Warehouse brings you flat rate shipping on great equipment and ingredients to make beer, wine, cheese, and spirits at brewmasterswarehouse.com. And if you're in Georgia, stop by Brewmaster's Warehouse Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6. Visit brewmasterswarehouse.com today.
Because it's totally hot.
Oh, yeah.
BN Army, I'm here to talk seriously for a second. You all are partially responsible for something explosive, and it's time you answer for it.
Moonlight Meadery is exploding.
Yeah, exploding across the country. Wait, they just landed in Australia with insane quality meads.
With nearly 70 different varieties of mead on the market, Moonlight Meadery has blown up the mead category and completely reinvented it.
Seriously?
What?
Seriously?
What?
You're paying money for that watered-down mead when you could have a Moonlight mead?
Moonlight meads explode with quality and flavor.
They're a party in a bottle.
Did someone say party?
If you want mead and want the best, you want meads from Moonlight Meadery and will accept nothing less.
And now get 15% off by going to moonlightmeadery.com/BNArmy and use coupon code BNArmy at checkout.
Hey, sign me up for that party.
Segmented, demented, fermented.
It's the session.
Welcome back to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hey, don't forget, I've been telling you about this, but if you're going to the Craft Brewers Conference up in Portland, like we were just talking about over there, White Labs is putting on their yeast handling for brewers, cropping, storing, and propagation. That's on April 14th. You can still register. Early registration has passed. I gave you good warning, and you'd have saved a little cash there, but it's still well worth it. Yeast handling for brewers, cropping, storing, and propagation. Go to whitelabs.com/education, and you'll find all their classes. They're also doing a homebrew yeast workshop and webinar in San Diego on June 10th, the night of our, they're doing it during the day, but the day of our anniversary party. So that's for NHC. If you're planning on coming out to NHC and you want to make the most out of your trip, you can still register for the homebrew yeast workshop and webinar that they'll be doing there at White Labs. So
I'm actually going to the CBC yeast seminar that they're doing, so
Nice.
I'll be able to give you a full detail.
Give us a rundown?
Yeah.
I love it. All right,
Yeah,
good.
it should be fun.
Yeah. We should get Kara in here, too.
Yeah.
To talk about some of this stuff. She's fun and knows what she's doing and does some of those classes for them as well. Go to whitelabs.com and check it out. All right, let's take a couple, I guess, Drunk of the Week phone calls, shall we? I think we have Lulu Gumshoe on the phone. Lulu. Lulu, what's happening?
Oh, my God, Justin.
Yes.
Next.
Yeah. You're in the running.
Yeah. What's up, brother? How are you?
I think it's Sister.
I have a product idea for you guys.
Okay.
Okay, hear me out. Brewing Network playing cards.
Playing cards.
Yeah.
But
hear her out.
Just on the back. You know,
no, but like obviously.
Can I be the king?
Justin, yes, you would be the king.
Of clubs.
Biba would be the queen.
Cool.
And
Who'd be the jack?
The jacks would be everyone else.
Everyone else. I think she thought it was me that asked that question, Tasty. I don't think you're the king.
No.
I don't think you recognized your voice.
I just want to be the 8 of hearts. I don't know. Why not?
Can I be an 8 of hearts? I always saw myself as the 8 of hearts.
Or 2 of diamonds. That's all I want.
No, this is actually a great idea. I don't know if you guys remember, but I think somewhere around the beginning of the Iraq War, they came out with a deck of cards of like Middle Eastern sheiks. Do you guys remember this?
I had
and it was
that.
like the
Yeah,
Al-Qaeda
the
rankings.
most wanted. Yeah. Yeah.
I got 6
You
unopened packs.
had it?
Well, my uncle was in the army, and so he got a bunch of them, and so I ended up with a deck. Yeah.
So it's like, I see your Anwar al-Zakiri, and I raise you an Osama bin
No, I
Laden.
have 6 packs of those. If you want those, tasty at thebrewingnetwork.com. And
You've got some.
make an offer. Yeah.
You've got
6 unopened packs.
Okay.
This is a good idea, Lulu.
Part-time vacation.
I think this is we might run with this one.
I don't know. Who the hell's going to buy them?
Nobody. Not who.
They're all going to sit at Scott's
Well, wait a
house.
minute. I mean, how bad they are? They're still functional, right?
Like all our rare barrel beer.
Just waiting. All right, Lulu. And are you? Have you drank a lot today?
Yes, I have consumed quite a bit.
Which is, for her is like 2 beers.
Yeah.
And then watching Randall have one.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how drunk are you?
You know, I'm probably an 8. I could probably go for some more right now.
Okay.
Hey, there's always room for improvement.
Why not
So
strive
clearly
for
she's making good decisions.
She's been on the phone like 60 seconds, so she must be sobered up now.
strive for perfection? All right, Lulu. Anything else you'd like us to know about your drunkenness?
Oh, I had another product idea.
That's all I need to know.
It's just like your little think tank you're doing here, huh?
All right, what do you got?
I got a Brewing Network coloring book.
See, now this is a good
That
idea.
could go somewhere.
Yes.
No, I've done
She's
that
actually
already.
quite the artist.
Yeah?
She's literally an artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you say quite the artist, it makes it sound like, it's
Oh,
something
no.
that she does on her spare time.
No, like, for real.
No, she's a comic book artist.
Right.
So she could totally do it.
Okay. Who again is the demographic that's buying the coloring book?
Stoners.
You know, adult coloring books are a thing.
They
adult
are?
coloring books are a thing.
It is? That's a thing?
I have one.
Where you at?
Of course you do.
Our elementary listenership could use a boost, I feel
You're in
like.
North Dakota?
So,
Yeah.
coloring books might
The thing
be the
about
way in.
branding, Justin, is you got to get in early.
Yeah.
So adult coloring books are becoming a thing.
Well, no, but like so they could be just for kids.
Yeah.
Or like like Bev would buy them for Abby. I'm sure she'd pay full
And
price.
is it just it's like us standing around drinking beer, and that's
I don't
what we
know.
give to the kids?
Well, you can have like activities like like a word search, like find the different types of hops, maybe.
Or, or Casey holding a glass of beer.
What is a word search doing in a coloring book, though?
Well,
It's like an activity book. Like
she hasn't sussed it all out yet, beer.
you would do like one of those
All right.
drawing by numbers.
Connect the
and,
dots. Tasty. I'd like that.
yeah, you would draw the 39 points for people Tasty's profile.
Like, Mommy, what are these numbers? Oh.
Connect the dots, Tasty, color by number, JP.
Right. That'd be good.
What color is Terrence the Black?
Color was
Is that
picture
a
of
rock?
Terrence.
Yeah.
That's more of a special ed test, I think.
Well, I mean, look at Go the Fuck to Sleep or whatever that child's book is. That's not really for kids.
I see.
But it made a bunch of money.
All right, Lulu, I'm going to think about it. Any other products while you're on the line, or? Well, why don't we just call it a night, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
we know where you're at already.
Lulu, you're an artist, so you can do like a mock-up for us, right?
Yeah.
Give me a couple of pages from the coloring book. Show me what they look like.
There you go.
I totally can. I can totally do a mock-up.
Do it.
All right, send it to
Totally
Scott
can.
at thebrewingnetwork.com. You are in the running, Lulu. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bye.
You want to do a voicemail before we get to the next call?
Yeah, why not? All right. I mean, that one went
Thank
so well.
fucking God. This is Stinger up in the Jersey Jers, man. What's up? Hey, tell all the haters.
Does she understand what he's talking about?
Suck it when they're talking about Nicole Ernie. She's fucking priceless. Her and JP, fucking master team, man. The both of them, though, they got a pregame with a little old Rasputin. That's what I'm talking about. Little old Rasputin, couple of hits of that. The both of them to be on fire the entire session. I'm fucking shit-faced up here. I'll call you back later because I'm a little sober-ish now. I was shit-faced earlier, but I'm, like, not so shit-faced now. So I'll call you back later with a better message. Just when you decide to, if you decide to, like, pull a little shit out, fucking play them all in a row. 'Cause this will be fucking priceless. I'm on a roll, kid. I ain't fucking stopping. And I'll probably call you tomorrow night, too, because I have 2 days off in a row this week, so we're just going to roll with it. I plan on staying intoxicated the entire fucking time. Love you guys.
All
fucking love you guys. So, yeah, whatever. And shut the fuck up, Beardy.
There you go. I think we got about 5 or 6 voicemails from this man.
He sounds like a lovely person.
What was his name?
Stinger in the Dirty Jers.
I thought he said the Dirty Jers.
He didn't say that. He said this.
Thank fucking God. This is Stinger up in the Jersey Jers.
The Jersey Jers.
You didn't even get that right. All right, he's drunk. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, and then we've got...
I wonder how many people in his hometown he's related to.
Good question.
Dirty 5.
All right, let's talk to Mark in Wisconsin. Mark, what's happening?
What's up, guys?
How are you, man?
I'm drunk. Just how I am.
What?
It's like he's picking up on us in a bar.
How are you?
Yeah. I know how I am. How are you?
I've shotgunned a lot of beers tonight.
In a hurry?
Drank a lot of beers tonight.
How many did you shotgun?
I'm very drunk. I shotgunned 3 16-ounce 312 pale ale.
You do 16?
Wow. And this guy puts them on fucking YouTube.
Each one?
He puts his shotgunning?
Yes.
How many followers does he have?
I don't know.
Probably 1 million. He probably makes all his money shotgunning beers on YouTube.
This one's going to be hella sick. Check this one out.
Is that the title?
I'm going to post a fresh one soon.
Money.
You don't,
I make no money. The money I make is none.
You should be on the Brewing Network.
Wait, have you counted it? Yeah, it's none.
It's still none.
Oh, wait, hang on. Let me just open my wallet.
Yeah.
Oh, there's none money in here.
Are you the guy? Are you the guy who bought that free book on Amazon? That was you, right?
Yeah. So
it was Mark from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Well, I'm drinking the New Glarus Belgian Red right now. It's a great sour beer. And I have some Sculpin, some grapefruit Sculpin. I got a lot of beer, and I'm drunk.
All right. Well, you definitely sound like it. Mark, you are in the running for Drunk of the Week, sir.
All right. Well, who else is calling? We got a lot of callers?
No, we had Lulu.
Trying to gauge his competition.
Just want to know if I know some people.
It's gonna figure out the ratio of my chances of winning here. We had a couple, and then we've got some voicemails calling in. So,
good. Good.
All right,
Justin. Well, I went ahead and I liked the strip club on Facebook, and I'm hoping to get out to Portland.
Hey, I hope you do too. I wish you luck, good sir. All right, thanks, brother. You are now.
By the way, your YouTube videos suck. It won't even load.
Just remember, tip in hundreds. You'll have a great time, Justin says. Tip
Great
in hundreds.
time. Drop that first 100.
Very practical advice.
But he has none money in his wallet.
I have one more person on line one, Captain Scotch. I think he is the one whose dad got dropped out of a truck or something.
Is he going to cry?
He's not. No, he actually has a very strong opinion about our previous caller's ability to shotgun a beer, and he'd like to share it.
Okay. That's. I don't see how I can say no to that. Captain Scotch, sorry about your old man.
Oh, Justin, yeah, that was awesome of you. That was, yeah.
Thanks for writing in about it.
Yeah, you're such a humanitarian.
You're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, you're a great person.
All right. But seriously, who cares about that? Yeah. I have something to say to Stud Monkey or Mark, whatever he calls himself in real life.
Yeah.
If you've seen his YouTube videos,
it won't load.
It takes him 4 minutes to open up the goddamn can. That's not a shotgun.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the appeal of the video.
Yeah, I don't know, but a shotgun is when you crack it, and down it. It takes them 3 minutes
to crack it.
Musketing a beer.
Oh man, but he's so proud of him, so I let him have his moment.
Each one's a victory.
Did you really let him have his moment, or are you ripping his moment out of the air right now?
I let him have his moment, but I've let him know that I let him have it.
I think you're pooping on his moment.
No, did you? I don't know if
moment's over.
Did you just hear? Steve has a new term for this. This is perfect. Musketing a beer, but it takes a really long time for you to shotgun a beer.
It's not shotgunning.
Yeah.
Well, first you get the
powder. You
powder.
Gotta pack the gunpowder.
Yeah. All right, brother. Are you putting yourself in the running for drunk of the week as well?
I've probably had more than he has anyway, even if he drank a couple Goose Islands.
Right. Oh, I'm watching your video now. I do, or his video. He is wearing a Brewing Network shirt, so that's good.
Hey, I'm wearing mine, and I won mine from you guys, so he probably bought his.
Like that's a bad thing?
Yeah, that's actually a point in his favor.
Yeah, and that jerk probably paid for shit.
What an idiot. He's the real asshole.
No,
he is struggling.
I bought a half, so I'm fine.
It is now like 2 minutes have gone by. He's still putting the hole in the thing. He's now using his second stabbing device. Now he's using his thumb to properly open the hole that he stabbed.
Which I'm sure is smart.
He's in his Vampire Slayer's his beer can.
In his defense, he's young.
And he lives in Wisconsin.
He doesn't have as much practice. Oh, here he goes. Now he's finally cracking the can. But he's just by himself in his mother's bedroom, I think. Like he lives, I can tell he lives at home.
Mark, I want to go to bed. Shut up, Mom!
I'm almost done. I got one more to go.
I'm doing another video. Shut up! I get your medication. You can let me do this.
And then he just has.
It looks like a junior college dorm room to me.
Do they have dorms?
Who's the camera operator?
I don't think they have dorms at junior college.
Wow. I kind of liked the video, actually. All right, brother. Hey, thanks for calling in.
A lot of feelings.
All
right. Take care of yourself, man.
Fucking feelings. All right, guys.
Hey, don't drink your sorrows away for too long, all right?
Yeah. Why not?
I mean, you got to get over it at one point and get sober up. But you're fine for now. But just looking out for you.
Don't give life advice.
I figure I get a month or two, right?
Yeah.
Do
you know any strip clubs?
Oh, I was thinking like 3 or 4, but yeah, you're good.
Oh, 3 or 4? All right, then that gives me an extra month or two.
Yeah, exactly. All right, brother. Hey, take care of yourself.
It looks like Shoe Light.
All right, you too.
Late,
doesn't he? He looks like Shoe Light.
The kid?
Yeah, the little kid.
Yeah, a little bit. He's got the big nose. All right.
Anyway, Marco Polo 7. You can go find him on YouTube and watch all his shotgunning videos.
I want to know what the views are on it right now, JP.
He has 1 subscriber. Right now, that one has 9.
9 views. All right.
Well, he just posted it.
Marco Polo 7. I want to know. I'm going to look at it at the end of the
And
week.
so you watched it twice, so that means 6 other people saw it.
All right.
Stacey just showed me a picture of. You're already in a coloring book. It's this little caricature that's been hand
One
colored.
time I posted on Facebook a picture of my character with no colors, just the lines.
Oh, yeah.
So people would color him and send them to me.
He was already on that idea.
By people, he means his kids.
I don't know who they were. Local people.
Your kids?
No, they wouldn't do that.
We have a couple more voicemails. You want to vote on what we got, or you want to hear 1 or 2 more?
How good are they? Are they better than Dirty Jersey?
Right. One was not as good, but I have another one from an even drunker Stinger.
Let's
from
try
New Jersey.
that.
Oh, all right. One-upping himself.
It's short. Here we go.
Oh, you guys are off tonight. Wah. I'm going to bitch and complain and write on a forum about how you guys just take random days off. Wah.
Is this Vinny?
Let's not count the fact that you worked for 6 Mondays in a row
Damn
to
straight.
provide content and info and entertainment. Bunch of bitches. They all complain. Holy flying Christ!
Did I leave this?
Anyway, hey, you guys enjoy your
mentioned the Belgian.
enjoy your time off, whatever the fuck you're doing. I don't know, jerking your dick or going to the fucking bacon festival. Because I couldn't make it. You better have fucking been there.
What?
Bunch of bitches. All right, I'm out.
Oh, you send me a
Stinger
ticket.
out. Yup.
Yeah.
Wow.
Does he know that there are 6 other days in the week? Working 6 Mondays in a row.
Hey, Beardy, shut up. Shut the fuck up, Beardy.
All right. That's fair.
I'm tired of you.
Yeah.
Shut Okay. I don't know. I kind of think it's between Lulu and then Dirty Jersey there, Stinger.
Oh, yeah.
Dirty Jersey.
Jersey Jersey. I mean, Lulu's clearly had a few...
She's a lunatic.
Yeah.
Just sober, but...
beverages. But Stinger left 5 messages... Because now Drunk of the Week has sort of taken on a new meaning if he goes for the whole week.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, he had left... because you get like an email alert, when people leave messages, and a few emails came in, but there was no transcription, and you could hear him like fiddling around and then hanging up, and then he finally called, and then I think on like the 4th time, he left this message.
This shit don't fucking work. Can you hear me? Hello?
When does a voice recording talk back to you?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
It went on and on like that.
Continue with your message.
Shit don't fucking work.
All right. So we'll go. Are we good with those 2 nominees as our finalists, Lulu and Dirty Jersey?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
No more, Bevo. We're fine. She's still taking calls back there. All right. Raise your hand if it's Lulu Gumshoe. All right. Raise your hand. That's 1 vote, Lulu. However, Bevo is on the phone, so you're missing maybe a 2nd vote. And then everybody else, raise your hand if it's Dirty Jersey.
It's got to be Stinger.
All right, Stinger's a winner. Hey, congratulations. Thanks for christening our new Drunk of the Week voicemail system, 855-WIN-DOTW, 855-WIN-DRUNK of the Week. And you, too, can win yourself Drunk of the Week. And then this way we can weed out some of the, the not fun calls, right?
Correct.
We can just play the good ones.
The drunkest ones.
Which,
I can't even make the call.
This really makes my life much better. Makes me happier. Thanks for calling in. Seriously, that was fun. All right, Twitter game, JP. How did we do? What was our game?
We did pretty good. So it was basically just, where would you use dogs in the boil? Because that, to me, seems like the next logical step in taking craft beer from super hipster to really douchey hipster.
I do think that at some point during my speech, I mentioned using dog shit in a beer.
No.
So I think you're right. We're on the cusp of something.
It's bound to happen. I'm glad you feel the negative ion vibration as well, because
it's happening.
It's not too far off. There was a news story from a few months ago of beer made with smoked goat poop. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Dog poop, what's the difference?
It's going to happen.
All right, so what did people say?
Well, Brian Koch wrote, I'd put Biscuit's ashes in a Randall and call the beer Justin's Tears. So right away,
ouch,
they're coming out hard.
Yeah, I like it.
AJZ513 says, wild yeast from my mutt gives a lovely wet dog essence to my sours. Harvest from shedded fur.
Okay.
Little natural way to go. Scott Thompson says, put a tennis ball on the tap handle and let the pup pour pints behind the counter.
Oh, now that's a good idea.
A little practical, but, whatever.
Yeah.
Brian Baumgart says, a good old Griffin helps me clean up myself after dunking my ball sack in the mash tun.
Okay.
Hashtag good boy.
All right.
Yeah. And Kevin says, I would use my dog's intestines as a hot back.
Wow. That's hardcore.
Yeah. Just right there,
Like, are they still in the dog? Or
who knows?
All right.
And then actually that one got a response from someone else, like this older guy with a dog as his avatar, and he's like, just be careful, just keep pups away from dogs that could really be dangerous for them. Like, just not getting it at all. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's like dog trolls that are monitoring dog communication.
Yeah, that's the PETA president.
It was pretty neat.
Great. Now we're going to get sued.
Yep.
Mark Wilson says, grind up the dog as a substitute when the local homebrew shop is out of biscuit malt. Hashtag RIP the biscuit.
Nice one.
John Boris says, I wish I could pour my wife's useless pug down the drain as easily as my shit batch of homebrew. Hashtag blender.
Pugs are stupid.
Yeah, they're real stupid. But they're just cute. HH says, as a real hipster, I would definitely use the dog before it was cool.
Yeah.
Good call.
Von Brewski writes, use it on an IPA label so Lagunitas can have someone to try and sue again.
Oh, yeah.
Chris B says, for oxygenation, my dog would hump the shit out of that carboy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scott Foster says, FWD, first wart dogging.
Okay.
And there you go.
HH. It's the best one.
I like the tennis ball.
I like the tennis ball. I like the first one. Although I
liked
barely
the first one.
remember it. And I like the...
Justin's Tears.
Yeah,
I liked pugs going down the drain.
A lot of them were good. The using it, I would have used dogs before it was cool.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Pretty good.
All right, I could go for that one.
Okay,
They got the biggest laugh.
All right, before it was cool.
There you go.
Send an email to bevo@thebrewingnetwork.com. She will send you a prize. bevo@thebrewingnetwork.com. All right, we about done here?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I believe we're off next week, but we're headed to Oregon, so come see us in Newport, but there will be no show. I do want to thank very much our guest today, RiverWalk Brewing Company, for coming all the way out here to the West Coast to hang out with us. That was very nice of you. And you shared a lot of good beer, so thanks, guys.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Just so you know, Justin, I'll be taking home all the leftovers.
Yes, weird. All right. People, go to RiverWalkBrewing.com. You can check it out. It's a great website, and you can learn about the beer. You can learn more about the guys and how they came about. There's even handsome photos of them somewhere, I think, on the site there. So go check it out. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it again for coming out. I want to taste that IPA before we get out of here. One of your IPAs that you brought. All right. JP, can I take us out?
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's see you later. Bye.
Thank you to our show sponsor, More Beer. You can get absolutely everything you need to make great beer at home by going to morebeer.com. We had the boys from RiverWalk Brewing came all the way out from Massachusetts with beer to represent the Beast Coast. Cheers to the fellas. Got a homebrew label that you want everyone to know about? Enter it into the National Homebrew Label Awards at homebrewlabelawards.com and win some cool things. Follow JP on Twitter at MajorJip, and if you're any kind of Disneyland fan or Disney World fan, support his new endeavors, Coviers. Go to getcoviers.com for the best way to find your Disney park style and customize that classic Mickey Mouse ear hat, you douche. Warren. For some good beer insight and homebrew info, follow Nate Smith at Nathan Homebrew and Mike McDowell at Tasty McD. Production director on the session has been Push Eject. Today's show has been produced by Scott Moskowitz. JP was trying to exist but failing miserably. Bevo was ignoring JP in the chat all night long. And your host was Justin Crossley. Be sure to find the Brew Network.